player, and you don't want Ure to be in those hands.
And I like the Morn because the Morn ban is like you can use the Eclipse to do this counter dive or to initiate. And if they feel like Global Taunt might be going high tempo with their jungler, with their dual lane, whatever it might be, all right, let's just take that off the board and see what we can get done. The Adele has been prioritized here. I know that that Crazy Fool loves this character. He likes to just play aggressive and just pester you in the dual lane. And Adele, one of the best to do it. On the flip side, though, we're seeing the Rampage. I feel like I haven't seen him in a minute.
The Rampage is one we've not seen too much of, but when he shows up, it tends to be very effective. And this is one that we've historically seen Creed be really successful on coming out of the jungle. I mean, Rampage kind of checks those assassin boxes by being able to get on top of heroes who don't want them on top of them. But he also can fulfill that tank role should that need arise, depending on how the rest of their draft kind of pans out. So it offers some flexibility there. And talking about flexibility, GT is also going to opt to pick up the Wukong, the Monkey King of monkeys. And this hero, we've been seeing kind of a rise in popularity here. The split pushing threat, the kind of just one-on-one potential that it offers in the mid game is actually kind of crazy, and you can't ignore it, because if you do, it will take your inhibitor in 15 minutes. This is an interesting pickup from Global Taunt.
Yeah, it's the same. It's an off-lane pusher, right? Just push the same with the Shinbi, but the Shinbi scales really well. It's hard to take down, very elusive. Wukong is kind of does the same thing. So just fit that puzzle piece in. I was gonna toss out the wrench, Doc, of like the Rampage potentially being in the off-lane or in the support role. Senpai loves these kind of tank support characters in melee, but I think it will be in the jungle for now as the picks are flying through. The Kalari, we were talking in the green room why this character has just seen a huge resurgence, and it's just about the teams wanting to play this high tempo, high burst, and they get the Howitzer to match with that as well.
In many cases, if you can't get Ure, you take Kalari. You settle for the next best, and that's what we're seeing team after team after team really prioritize with how lethal this hero can get if given a single inch to continue snowballing in the game. So if you're the side of GT, you need to be looking, how are we going to be answering this Kalari when she jumps on our backline? How are we going to just bring her down, shut her down? And I'm going to be looking for a Richter, a Steel, something that's going to be able to, when you're standing next to your carry, if you're Global Taunt, how do you keep them safe from this Kalari? We are waiting on that third pick here, but the Howitzer has not been impressing me, though. I'm going to put an asterisk there. This is Appy Picker's Howitzer. This is not just a normal Howitzer that we've seen through the rest of the tournament. This is the legendary Appy Picker. I mean, he is... this is peanut butter and jelly to him, so he's going to be he's going to be an absolute monster threat in this game. So I'm curious to see how Global Taunt responds. They could opt for Arena. I don't really know. Pinzo has such a wide hero pool. I think they're really happy picking him last and filling that spot.
Doc, it's the Akron being taken off the board. It's a big offlaner, potential jungler. And they know, GT, that this is what they have to target, because they're assuming Adele is going into the support role with Crazy Fool. They're hiding it, right? It could be flex into offlane or jungle, but it probably will be support. So they're thinking, okay, what can we take off the board that's going to provide some more frontline, more team fight ability? They go with the Akron. But this Kwong pick is interesting to me. It's like, does Creed want to play the Kwong in the jungle because it's in a tank, it's initiator, or then the Rampage is support for Senpai? Or is it vice versa, right? There's some fluidity there in terms of what they can bring out. But I feel like, I don't know, Kwong just seems to be maybe better in this situation than Rampage in the jungle. I don't know. It could go either way for me. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, GT is definitely cooking something here. We've seen some Kwong support as well. I know you mentioned Rampage could also operate in that support role, but Senpai, just based on my personal knowledge of Senpai, I think the Kwong is the most likely one out of those three existing heroes that they have picked right now to be the support. GT, they're going to opt to take the Bale out. Again, just a monstrous carry from the off lane, if you will. And again, Butters is another one of those players where you cannot give this hero to him. On the side of Professors, though, they are setting up Appy for success. They're knocking out Neon. They've knocked out the Fae. That is now 2 very strong matchups that are no longer possible coming out in the form of those bans. And we're going to see Revenant now picked up for Global Taunt. So they're showing their carry here. It's a solid dude, mildly contested, but has a lot of utility as well as doing a ton of damage. So being able to take a jungler away from an objective using his Shadow or his Reckoning, it adds that much value to your team.
Doc, I'm a little worried though, because you know me, I'm a big team fight kind of ultimate guy. So it's like, where's the team fight here? They're going for straight up like pick burst. Let's tether somebody, burst them, let's rock them, let's burst them, set it up from there. And I like the Scar into tether or rock into tether, or Scar into rock, whatever. So whatever they decide to do in that support lane, I think will work. We are seeing it. There is the team fight master, the Coliseum, the Zarus, my favorite character. I mean, locking that down in the Queen's Garden of the Adele, that is so detrimental. It can do so much work.
Yeah, I mean, your famous question to me is, Doc, which team's got the team fight? And it doesn't even matter what Global Taunt picks right now. I don't think my opinion's going to change. Professors have the advantage with the Queen's Garden and with the Coliseum, followed up by the Make It Rain and the Long Arm of the Law. I know those aren't like big flashy circles per se, but there's the opportunity there. But they're kind of meeting in the middle ground rather than leaning into just a full pick comp. Gadget is going to be some semblance of that team fight that we're looking for, but I think the Gadget is a very good pick if you want your mid laner to be successful against Appy's legendary Howitzer. I mean, you have to be able to kind of just keep tempo with him, and you can't give just free space, free hits, and free lane priority. So Gadget is a really good answer in that regard. It's just there's not a great answer. There's not a great way to get an effective Tesla Dome unless you're focusing on objective bits.
Yeah, she's an artillery mage, right? Just wants to be in the back line, just firing spells onto the opposition. And with the Rampage, with the Kwang, with the Wukong, right? There's a lot of other targets to look at, and so she can kind of free fire in there. But I also like the Tesla Dome, Doc, as kind of an anti-dive tool. So, if the Zarus comes in or the Adele comes in, just place it on top of yourself and they have to fight through that. But I would look for the Professors to know that and try to force Pinzo's hand more often than not on this Kallari, right? Dive the mid lane again and again and again, force out the Tesla Dome, and then once that's done, go in for the team fight. And I love this. I hope Pinzo rocks the Victoria skin on this character because I love that one. She looks like a true mechanic. And everything like that. So it is a good one. Doc, before we send it to the casters, you kind of alluded, but are you leaning any way in terms of the team who come out on top in this game one?
Just based on composition alone, disregarding who's playing what heroes across the map, I have to give a slight edge to Professors just because I think the ease of execution is there. Obviously, there's challenges with Kallari, but every other piece of their chessboard, if you will, is a bit simpler to execute. Whereas GT, they're going to have to, they got to make the stars align here.
It is tough for sure, right? Landing those tethers, we've heard all throughout the day, it can be tough. Getting the rocks to land too, and then just following up with the proper burst. Is there communication? Because you talked about the top of this, Doc, how they seem a little disjointed, right? These are guys that just got together to make a squad. They practiced a bunch for sure, but it's just like, are they missing that time, right? That cohesiveness that the time brings, and this squad or this composition that they have really needs that for sure. I think I'm going to lead the way of the Professors as well. I think they're solid, especially because this Zarus, we've seen him build more of assassin. We can build in this fighter bruiser kind of thing. So there's a lot of way for this Zarus to go. Well, folks, with that being said, it is time for the first game of this best of 3 series. And Doc, we didn't say it. Whoever wins this moves on to next weekend. This is a pivotal best of 3. The Professors, they need to survive to claim or keep the championship alight. And GT, they want to play spoilers. Let's send it over to Lance and Ritterific for the cast.
Thank you to our desk. My name is Lance Cecil. It is always terrific to be joined by Ritterific. We haven't seen you yet today. How you doing, bud?
I'm feeling fantastic. Getting back in town. Always excited to turn my eyes into some competitive predecessor. And I love this matchup, as we talked about it before we got onto the screen here. Huge fan of Professors. I think that we can't reiterate enough how important this matchup is to them. As you said, defending champions, and this is your chance to either show that you really still got it or potentially be heading home.
Yeah, and maybe the roster changes that we've seen not paying the dividends for Professors. This is, kind of a winner takes all or takes a chance matchup here. But we do get the answer to this Global Taunt draft. It will be Haldry on the Wukong. I was expecting that to go to Creed. I'm a little surprised by that. Senpai does get the Rampage support, which is something that they kind of alluded to on the desk. Is there anything else within this draft that's kind of got you surprised here, Rit?
I mean, Lance, personally, based on what I've seen from weekend one and what I've been able to catch a good glare of so far today, it's the mid matchup for me, particularly here. Howie has been a very strong prio pick. He's played very good into most of the hands of those who have piloted the hero, but it's the gadget for me. We talked about it briefly before we got here on screen. It was handed over from the desk. The best plan to Howie, not exactly it. It's a good counter for the Tesla Dome if you have the Tsar, or the Tesla Dome coming out to stop the Tsars in the Coliseum. But they didn't really have a lot of options, right? Faye was taken off the board. That was probably your best counter at that point. You could flex into Gideon, but he doesn't exactly have the best exchange, so the gadget's kind of where we're settling.
Hold on a second. Before anything goes on, Senpai hits the rock down onto Abby. We have some unorthodoxness going on here. Kev Kaioken and Senpai going to the mid lane. Pinzo still has not shown on this map yet, but is going to take the 2v1 into Crazy Fool and Haru. And Pinzo, put him in a wheelbarrow. I hope that this goes well for this guy over here, as I'm always cheering for the gadget.
It's a unique start here. If you're going to start to, shake the team up on game one, this is probably the way you do it, right? Not something that a team would have been expecting to start up into here. But Appy, known well for his play, going to have a nice little rotation over here from his support. Crazy Field going to make his presence felt over. But Creed also going to be making his way over, trying to steal a 2-camp here. Lance, a little early aggression here from the GT team. Going to force out that blink. Not going to secure the kill, but close enough. And if you're going to take any resources off the board, a blink there on the Adele is a good one to start with as you start to take this 2-camp as well.
And we're looking for this 2-camp already, but members from both teams are around. It looks like Creed is able to get it, but put him on the board. Senpai will kill Survivor for first blood in this game. Still some people lurking around. Senpai's health bar a little bit low, but that King of the Jungle passive will keep him regenning, keep him good. So maybe catching Profs a little off guard with this. It's something we're going to have to think about the implications of for sure.
It's a good start. Anything you can do to kind of rattle and break that base composition, because every team comes in, correct, up until about that first Fang Tooth, that first mini prime, you've kind of got a game plan, and you're going to orchestrate that similar to the way a pro athletic team would. You've got something at the beginning of the game where you know this is exactly hard set in stone what you're trying to do, and this change-up's just what you need to do to rattle that scenario. You now throw what they had already planned to have taken care of in the first couple minutes of the game out the window, and have to make an adjustment. I will caveat off that. In this situation there, they did give that kill over to the GT team. It fell into Senpai, though. You really would have loved to have it fallen onto someone else other than that support Rampage at that time. But hey, I guess a bigger Rampage always tends to help out, huh?
It always does. And I kind of want to just continue to roll.
State of their T2 in the middle lane as they have so much pressure and such an assertive force over this map with that double buff.
And with the minion wave crashing on our left side of the sanctuary here, they should be able to secure a double inhib. The minion wave not really in position for them to take the mid one right now, but with pressure onto the core, with pressure onto 2 inhibs, with Kev Kaioken getting caught by the Adele, this may be the end of it all for game 1 here for GT. Coliseum comes down as well. That's 4 members only. The monkey remains. It's raining in the jungle. That was going to use that staff, try to knock it down. That's the full RGS ace. That's game 1 for Professors.
Lance, if you were backed up against the wall or had anyone doubting you if you were the defending champion Professors team, I hope you made that statement strong enough to say, hey, we are here and we mean business. And that game right there was that statement, exclamation point, to say we are the defending champions and we're going to get this slot. We have a title to defend.
And we've seen, I kind of want to talk about like the picks and the individual players from this game really quick before we throw it back to our desk. We've seen Howitzer be very cryoed within drafts, both on NA and EU. He has shown some strengths with some changes that he has got recently, getting some AD scaling, attack damage scaling into, his kit. The premier Howitzer in the world IMO is Appy. This is the first time we've been able to see it. He goes 5-0-17. Do we ban that in our next draft?
I think it's definitely a viable option, right? If you're not going to ban it, you got to pick it, right? And then you have to kind of switch up the way you're doing things. I think that an overall composition change from the GT team would be a little bit more necessary here. I don't think the Rampage played into everything they were looking for quite as effectively as they had thought it would in that game one. So I'd expect to see a pretty strong change up in composition here from the GT team.
I completely agree. I am very curious what our desk has to think about it. So I'm going to send it over to them, and they're going to break it down for us.
Thank you, lads. We appreciate the cast. It's Philly and Doc back on the desk, and what a game! What? It's not dinner time yet. We've got something. Oh, you're taking your medicine. All right. Well, he's the Doc. You might need to subscribe some painkillers for GT after that one, my friend, because that was a beatdown for sure.
Yeah, that was me eating what GT was cooking, and it was lacking some seasoning. It tasted quite bad. No, I mean, all things considered, kudos to them for taking, having the cojones to really try something in this game one, best of three. Winner moves on to the top 8. Like, this is a big, very important game, and you know that you have to go outside of your comfort zone to make something happen. Unfortunately, Professors, they showed up with a purpose, with the intent of reclaiming their spot as the champions, and they put, as Ritter said, they put an exclamation point at the end, at the front, all over this entire game. It was a very good game from the Professors. They were dominant across the map, and they adapted really well to this chaos that GT tried to do with the duo lane in the mid and moving Pinzo around.
Yeah, definitely some. We mentioned during the draft that the GT composition was going to be difficult to execute, right? And we saw that there was potential, but it takes a lot of coordination and practice to get one of those compositions online. Where the Professors, they had an easy execute comp, and they're one of the best to ever do it. So they just kind of ran through. Well, like you mentioned, Doc, this is a best of 3, so GT, another opportunity, but we have some replays for you. And as you mentioned, GT kind of throwing a wrench in this early game, swapping the mid laners over to the duo lane and the duo laners into the mid. I mean, what is the thought process behind that?
Yeah, they were definitely trying to set Kev up for some sort of strong mid game here. This was a very interesting engagement where Senpai started the seedling to try to initiate this fight, and it was just chaos. I mean, it was chaos that clearly was kind of favoring GT there. They're able to get 2 in that engagement for the price of just Senpai. And yeah, as a result, Kev kind of gets into the game. The issue is that Kev was not able to stay in the game. And unfortunately, Haru ended up pulling ahead of him as we got toward that 15-minute mark.
And it was, we were looking at the mid lane matchup too, and it always seemed Pinzo was behind by 2 levels or so throughout most of that match. And you thought helping him out in the early game, getting some extra minion farm and things like that. He had Ion, so more ability damage, get that gold, and it just never really felt like he was making a big of impact as we want. And speaking of mid laners, you mentioned it. Lance mentioned it, our statistician D-Dog mentioned it, with Howitzer with almost an 80% win rate over 24 games. Appy, the legend, getting a double in this next play.
Yeah, I just want to preface this with Howitzer overall across both regions has not impressed me, but yeah, in NA, 83% win rate is kind of crazy. In EU, it's 50%. But we can see over here, oh, actually, this is a different clip.
Oh.
Oh,
it's a long out engagement, Doc, and the reinforcements arrive for the likes of the Professors as they were going for this mini prime take global taunt, but we will see the trickery from Appy as he's making his way through that fog wall now.
So the Professors, they force back GT away from that mini prime pit. And by all accounts, the fight is pretty much over. But what we see is you can see Survivor and Crazy Fool, they start walking back to the objective to reclaim that for themselves, while Appy sits back in the off lane by himself. And the call to disengage the objective comes. The boys, the support, they come back in. Appy blinks with the Make It Rain, and he ends up turning this around to not just survive, but to get himself a double kill at the 11-minute mark, as well as opening the door for the mini prime there. And I saw in Twitch chat, people were saying, oh, Appy over there overstaying and begging for ganks. But, it worked. It worked. He did overstay, but at the same time, it was a great play by Survivor to make that rotation off the objective, to give it up, at least temporarily, to help your homie out. And from that moment forward, Appy was an absolute threat in that game.
Save your friend syndrome, Doc, actually coming into play there and working out in a positive manner. But that also highlights the communication from the professors. When somebody makes a call, you listen and you work together. It's not just like, I need help, and you're like, well, we're doing this. No, okay, let's see if we can get something done. So Appy, certainly happy after that fight in the off lane. We've got some more clips, and I think this one almost spelled the doom for GT. It was about around the 16.5-minute mark. It was a big fight in the mid lane.
This one, a chaotic, disjointed fight. You can see Crazy Fool separating the back and the front line on the side of GT, and from that point forward, they start melting. A Tesla Dome does not have the impact that they want. Crazy Fool does fall, but it's just death after death after death from that split in that engagement. And it's just a testament to how disjointed GT felt in this engagement. Survivor does go down, but I'm pretty sure... Oh no, the mark does not kill Senpai there, but instead... somebody else got him. I didn't even see who killed him. He just kind of died. But either way, it all got disjointed. And honestly, I like to shout out the supports whenever possible. Crazy Fool getting in there, getting onto the back line, and he literally was in the middle and he split the front and the back. And as a result, GT's front side died. And then it opened up the backside for the rest of professors to kind of just walk right in and clean them up.
A clear game strategy for the professors. They ran the numbers and they figured a clear path to winning that game one. We have one more for you here, and this is a prime take. This was an interesting trade between the two squads. The professors going for the Fang, and then they're making it in time to get this prime.
We called this the Gambit. This was GT's way of trying to get back into the game. They knew that the third Fang was going down by professors, so they knew that they had this very small window to get an objective, to get themselves back in the game, which would give them some semblance of map control. But as a result of this engagement, they get the Orb Prime with the Tesla Dome, but they lose 4 after all is said and done. Potentially 5. No, yeah, they just lose 4. Kev does ultimately fall here. So that is, I mean, they effectively denied the Orb Prime from the side of professors, but they took a gambit. They tried to get back into the game, and it did not pay the dividends that they were hoping for. But you have to commend them for at least trying, because when you're behind and you feel as behind as I think GT was, you have to make things happen. You have to be proactive. You can't just be on the back foot reacting the whole game, or else you will just inevitably lose. So, I mean, at least they tried.
Yeah. Can't fault them for that. They're competitors through and through. We know these players, they want to win. So finding at least one condition that might work, even if it's like a 5% chance, Doc, you feel at those moments you have to go for it. That was just game one. So now we go into game two. Lance and Ritter did talk about some of the adjustments that these teams might have to make. Is it Howitzer more prioritized? Is it the Kalari more prioritized? Are we seeing different bans? I mean, what are your thoughts as we move into the P's and B?
Well, I mean, Appy, legendary Howitzer, and Howitzer already with 83% win rate across North America. I'm glad I learned that stat, because Howitzer is suddenly like bumped up in terms of priority for picks and bans. They definitely need to do something to adjust that, and they need to set Pinzo up to have success against whoever Appy is playing against. That duo swapping thing did not work out for them. The only reason Pinzo was not like several thousand gold behind was because he had the Ion Eternal. If he did not have the Ion Eternal, he's like effectively 2 items behind Appy at the end of the game, which is not great. But opening the bans here, professors, they're going to be the ones to take Shinbi out of the equation, denying that from both Creed and Haldry. And the side of GT, they're going to go ahead and they're going to ban the Adele, because Crazy Fool, again, the unsung hero of the professors, you just can't let him have these heroes that he's very, very strong on. And additionally, the Morn, another one of those heroes. And the Richter, partially a ban pick. Like, you're denying Crazy Fool from having that in your first 2 bans, clearly targeting Crazy Fool as well. But Richter, very strong and a great flex option. Could be in the off lane, could be support, could even be jungle. You heard it here first, folks.
Doc, I remember back in the day, it was like a year or 2 ago, you were Richter offlane all the time, just going up against Greystones, beating them, silencing them, and getting them down. So we might see that, but I think this might go on to Senpai. On the flip side, though, Kalari Survivor did really well on that character, just high tempo in the jungle, finding those picks in the mid lane, really putting Pinzo under pressure. They prioritized that quick as the first pick in this draft, and then they follow up with the Neon, which we were talking about some of the stats, maybe not the best considering all things.
Statistically, Neon's not great right now in terms of win rate in North America, but overall the hero is very strong, serves a very potent burst potential in a lot of these engagements, is just honestly chaos. She can mesmerize an entire team, but it's really about the burst. It's about the wave clear and the ability to get lane priority to be able to start rotating and being active. And Appy is one of the most active mid laners. So I'm going to be watching him to see how he kind of holds against this Rena. Rena also very strong wave clear. Going to be looking to see how she moves around the map. A little less utility based, I would say. But nonetheless, it's interesting that no Houts are on the board despite no Houts are being banned.
Yeah, because those are the mid laners, so you figure, okay, they're not going to put Rena. We've seen Neon support. Penguin over in EU has run it before, but I don't think the props will do that today. So we'll leave the Howitzer on the bench for now, which, I mean, frees up the ban phase, right? That means these teams don't have to consider that character. The Professor's locking out the Kwang. I guess Creed was causing a bit of confusion there, some queries to be answered from their side. So they'll take the Swordsman out of this fight, but Doc, is there something that bans you're expecting from these teams?
Yeah, the Kwang is definitely interesting. I don't know if Professors are thinking that Rampage currently on GT is going to be a support again. It's a very interesting situation because it very well could be, but is it likely to be after last game? Not really. GT, they are opting to limit Haru's pool here. I mean, Haru was Murdoch last game, so a very consistent, reliable hero. I don't know the stat off the top of my head, but it's like 50% win rate probably. But the Drongo, they just don't want to deal with that. Professors, they're the ones this time that ban the Acheron. So last time it was Butters being banned from playing the Acheron, and now they're taking it out of the equation because they don't want somebody on Global Taunt here to have access to it. And there's the Murdoch. They're taking, they just don't want Haru to be able to be as comfortable as he possibly could.
So definitely Creed being taken away from the Acheron. I know he loves that character. And then the Murdoch and the Drongo. Doc, I played Drongo yesterday, and I went like 13-3. And if I could do it, I'd never play carry, then imagine what these pro-level guys are doing on that Wastelander. So yeah, get him off the board. But we are seeing the Legion, right? More of this spellcastery kind of carry, just pumping in the grenades and the laser beams. And we were curious about how this character might make an appearance in this series.
I've been excited to see an Eden. I know there have been some Eden games, but as you can see, there was Eden has a 45% win rate, so not the most success for a carry, but definitely one that makes other carries uncomfortable, especially a Legion. I would have to see what the specific matchup is against these two statistically, but Legion doesn't like people on top of him, and what does Eden do? Gets on top of him. So, and Kev, I know Kev has been cooking in the lab with some different Eden builds, being coached by like Cure and some of the likes, some of the top Eden players. So it's definitely something that he's more than proficient at, and I think he's going to be a bit more comfortable than the Revenant last game. And the round out from the Professors, they're going to opt for the Greystone, most likely in that offlane role, which then tells us that that's a steel support. And this Terra is a Huldry special, at least based on what my knowledge of their team is. So it's most likely going to be a Terra. There's nothing to stop her Relentless Assault in that lane, so she should have a pretty decent game, all things accounted for, which means Creed is most likely going to be on that Rampage, unless for some reason they do the Rampage support.
I mean, they might. Senpai ran it last game, so why not run it again? And then you have the Richter in the jungle. Sure, go for it. I saw Mercy playing Richter in the jungle a couple times. You know, it is viable. But Doc, looking over everything, I'm seeing a lot of beef on both of these teams. I mean, you're talking Richter, Rampage, Terror, Greystone, Steel. That's a lot of HP to work with.
It's a lot of HP, but I'm going to give you my synopsis here. Professors, their draft is a little bit easier to execute. You always ask me who has the best team fight. They definitely do. you could make an argument for Rena and Richter together, but you've got the Greystone, you've got the Legion, Orbital Beam, you've got the Shield Slam, you've got Neon. You've got 4 heroes and professors. They just have to press their buttons in the correct order. And being some of the best players in NA,
running away for his life on the backside of this fight, does get a nice little juke into Haldry. Actually, shout out to Appy for the fancy feat, but Terra gonna continue to try to run them down. Take a look up at the top. Kev Kaioken has been taken out as well. Survivor doing Survivor things, has already gotten himself a double. Oh, let's make that a triple, baby. We see Haldry. Can we potentially get the second quadra for it, for the jungler of Professors? This game very, very close to being over. Let's see how it goes. Who gets the credit for it? Is it the quadra kill for Survivor? 1 up as well. No, Crazy Fool, longtime teammate of Survivor, will get it. That will be the end. That is a 2-game sweep. Professors maintains the crown. We'll see them next weekend.
A very hot performance there from this team. Had to take one from our desk there and do another button there, Lance. A very hot and very stylish performance there from that Professors team, top to bottom. Great plays, even if it was just the most simple things as far as a rotation when a teammate was slightly out of position, or just capitalize on a simple move as far as hitting a fountain and just juking your way back. Happy doing anything he could do to kind of stall Haldry. He was probably one of the focal things they would have needed to try to make some kind of turnaround there, but by the time he made it back, members of the team were already executed and put into those death timers. So strong performance there, a very demanding and commanding play there from our returning champions, making their way into the top 8.
And hey, it's Survivor Sanctuary. We're all just trying to live in it. Most of GT not able to live for a lot of that. That is the final game of the day. We're going to do one last breakdown, one more promo before we're back tomorrow. Take it away, Desk.
Thank you, fellas. We appreciate that one. Yes, the Professors, they booked their ticket into the Elite 8, and GT will sadly walk on home. But I'm sure you'll see those streamers, right? Kev, Pinzo, they'll be back on Twitch tomorrow for sure. Doc, as we're getting to break this one down, before we head into any of the replays, any thoughts that you have?
I mean, GT, they got in the kitchen. They tried doing something we have not seen, at least on the main stage today. Probably not last weekend either, with a 5-man invade early on. Usually when you do that, the goal is to get tempo, to really, A, inflict mental damage, but B, get a first blood, get some, meaningful impact to the economy of the opposing jungler. And they ended up not being able to get anything. They caught Butters out, but Butters just leveled up Assault the Gates, which should have affected his lane negatively early on, but it wasn't enough. And in fact, Creed ended up blinking as well to try to get the first blood, but it wasn't even close. So they ended up expending resources. They didn't gain any real momentum or meaningful economic impact. And I think from there, there were a lot of questionable calls where it was like, okay, they're definitely trying to do something cookery related. It just felt like it wasn't your standard predecessor, which is fine. I mean, it was fun. It was fun. It was by all accounts entertaining to watch. They walked so that other teams could run, but unfortunately, Professors too strong right now.
Too strong. They're the ones teaching the class on how to run for sure, Doc. And this is what I love about tournaments. Teams need to evolve and adapt with each game that they play, and you learn as you're watching other matches and you're talking to other players, like, how'd that go? Wait, what did you do? What turtle did you pick? That sort of thing. And so we'll see. GT trying to go for this death ball composition, didn't fully work out for him. We have a couple of replays. The first one we call is the Seedling Sacrifice. This is the death ball rolling in, trying to get an early seedling.
Yeah, this was where the chaos was looking somewhat favorable, I think, for the side of GT. You can just see an all-out bedlam here at this seedling that results in Creed falling early, Senpai soon to follow as well. But Kev gets on the back end. He is level 4 though against this level 6, and Kev already behind. He's 2 levels behind Haru on the other side of the map. He's here. He's fighting. He's participating in the game, but at such a massive cost on the other side. And this was really where Kev's momentum started to any momentum he could have gained was just emphatically gone at that point. And the rest of the game was him trying to just scratch and claw his way back into having some semblance of a game.
And we saw there was a few duels between Haru and Kev, and you felt like Kev almost could have got it if he wasn't an item and a half down or a level or 2 down or whatever it is. So the Eden could have worked. It just didn't facilitate the carry enough because they were deathball and rotating around. They're sharing experience. Couldn't get the levels that he needed to. This next one is a deathball that didn't really roll all the way. We call this an oof-a-doof, man. It was GT trying to use the mini prime to take down an offlane tower.
Yeah, GT, they got the mini prime cut like a minute or so earlier. They took the arc shot as a whole squad. They came from the dual lane over to the off lane. Kev, the communication must have been Kev, go back to base, go mid lane. But as a result of this, they are outnumbered. Well, actually, they're evenly matched in this situation with Steel joining shortly after. But would Kev have made a difference in this engagement? I don't think so. But overstaying, fighting under the tower, just giving away 3 kills for the price of 0 and getting nothing with the mini prime, that was just another nail in the coffin, right? If you have a mini prime, you want to be doing something with it. Maybe slow sieging the tower and not committing to a full engagement that early on. It's tough. It's tough to know exactly how to handle that situation, but there was clearly the communication, like, Kev, go back, get out of here. Like, you need to claw your way back into the game. If you stay, you'll probably die. And I agree. I agree with that.
It's the edge of the pinnacle, these matches, right? You're right there to the final weekend, and this is where you have to make that final climb to the top, and maybe there are some loose rocks, or maybe you try to find an alternative path, and GT tried to do just that, just didn't quite work out for him. Professors, they have a clear path to victory. We've got a few more replays. This one we call the River Rumble. This was a huge fight and some great stasis value.
Yeah, when we normally say stasis value, it's a meme. At the end of this engagement, you'll see that this actually saved Professors. It could have been a window for GT back into this game, knowing how behind Kev was. Fight starts out with a good 3-man bull rush from Crazy Fool. They're just in a tight spot here, and it's just shooting fish in a barrel for Haru and Appy. There's free casting spells, free casting auto attacks. They're just pumping so much damage. And you can see Kev, even though he's so behind, he's able to get in, and he's able to actually have an impact in this fight, doing way more damage than he has any right. But right there, the stasis. The stasis prevents Kev from getting the shutdown, and that at that point was a very massive. I mean, it was like 5 or 6 kills, I think, at that point, and that would have emphatically put him back into the game. He would have gotten experience, gold, probably closed that experience gap. And to what you were saying earlier, right? He was doing pretty well in one-on-ones, despite being an item and a half or 2 items down, and that was real stasis value. That was chef's kiss stasis value.
It was, and good positioning from Haru, getting the high ground, right? Taking a book out of Obi-Wan Kenobi's manual, and just saying, like, okay, if I'm up here, you can't reach me. Exactly. So a great fight in the river, and I love Crazy Fool just time and time again with those bull rushes. We have one final clip, and this was the definitive. We're putting all the nails in. We're putting you 6 feet under, Doc, and shoveling all the dirt on top. This was for the side of the Professors. They were looking pretty good with the Prime buff, and the space by Crazy Pool is what I want to highlight here. Taking 2 on so that the rest of the team could take that tier 2 tower.
I mean, he's just in there by himself, again, splitting. He's like I don't know. In game 1, we talked about how he split the front and the back line. In this game, he does unfortunately get hooked there in that engagement, goes down pretty early. But again, just that mere focus on him allows Survivor to just cook everybody. They try to kill Haru here. Haru gets even more stasis value. Yeah. Sitting in that stasis. All the meanwhile, Survivor just getting to pre-pump all of that damage into the side of GT, and he ultimately does get away here. Until the very end of this scene, I believe, Pinzo, under duress in his inhibitor, is going to get the shutdown onto Survivor here, but ultimately perishes, and it results in this second inhibitor of the game going down, which just creates an insurmountable mountain of economic pressure and map pressure everywhere.
It was the Survivor show, right? 15-2 at the end of the day. But I love the banner augment from the side of the Legion. We saw it highlighted there, just destroying that inhibitor because of the increased attack speed. And that also helps the Kalari too, getting the death marks on the people faster, so on and so forth. So just synergized well with the rest of the team. So fantastic work, all things considered. But Doc, Professors, they win. They move on. We've got a special interview with the one and only Butter.
Ooh.
Hello, gamers. Are you not entertained? I hope the games were entertaining, because I am sitting here with Butters, the offlaner for Professors. And there is no secret. You guys were the reigning champions, but now it's been a bit of a rough run this summer. Your feet are to the fire. How are you guys, managing to pull it back?
A lot of communication, lots of yelling, but first off, happy Father's Day. Shout out my teammates. I hope they're doing well with their families. They had to bounce real quick, but we're dealing with the rough start, just identifying the issues, what can we do to fix them, and then how we adjust our strategies moving forward. So luckily we were able to do so, and it worked out for us today. So worked.
Okay. All right. Being the reigning champions is not everybody's got eyes on you guys, and in that we have seen a lot of priority, right, placed on this Kalari pick that we've been seeing a lot of today. What is the thought behind, prioritizing that Kalari for your team?
Mostly Survivor. He's just sitting there. He's like, pick me Kalari, bro. It was kind of reminded me of like last tourney. I was just like, pick me Yuri, man. It's just kind of that champ right now that we're realizing is really annoying and mobile in the jungle. You can play, invade early game with it, scales late game, causes a lot of chaos. So it's just a pretty safe and good pick right now in jungle, in our opinion.
Okay. I would have never imagined a meta where Kalari is like top priority and just like, an all-around good pick as opposed to like this very niche thing. And speaking of niche things, we saw in game 1, I believe, where GT came out of the kitchen. They had no groceries and they said, we're going to have to serve something. So they decided to send duo mid and mid into duo.
Yeah.
As the team facing that, like what were the thoughts? What were the comms kind of like when you guys saw that?
You're like, what the F is this? Like, it's just like not a lot of good words, but it's like, all right, let's just get this stuff over with and, not die, So I was getting ran at. I think like Rampage flashed on me. Then there was just 5 people on our red buff. And we're like, okay, let's try and get their red buff. It was just a whole...
It's just chaos.
It's not normal, So we kind of just play on the fly. We're like, we got to get his red now. So we ran to his red after they took ours. It was crazy. But after that, we learned to just play with the chaos and, go from there. It was pretty funny.
I mean, fighting for top 8, you gotta do whatever it is you gotta do to get in there,
Exactly.
So, final thing here, now that you guys have, secured a top 8 spot, how are you going to adjust to make, to look like the threats that you were in the previous PCC?
As far as looking at like a threat, I would say really hone it in on our drafting, our prio. It's crazy. Like you said, how teams just start picking Kalari. It's always like this every tourney. Like I think it was 1 or 2 PCCs ago where people were just ripping Yin carry off cooldown. So as we play day 1 of the tourney, like we weren't in last weekend, we learn a whole lot. So taking what we learned today, working with it and adjusting into next weekend or tomorrow, that's going to be our biggest key, is adapting.
Okay. Hey, there's that word again. I love that word today. All the teams showing a little bit of adaptation or learning to lean into the adaptation. That's going to do it for me here. Butters, please be on your way. Go do what you got to do. I know it's been a bit hectic So thank you so much for your time. And I'm throwing it back to the desk. I will see you lovely people in another interview.
Peace.
Thank you, Empress. Thank you, Butters. Oh, it's always good to talk to Butters. I had a pleasure of interviewing him as well a while back and seeing him on stream. He was on the front page on Twitch a couple weeks ago. Got a lot of people in there, a couple new folks into Pred. So we appreciate all those folks being ambassadors and you, our predecessor community, for helping bringing people together. Doc, you know, I'm a man of friendship. I love the community aspect of the PCC, but give me your overall thoughts on the day in terms of the competitive standpoint of what we saw.
I'm loving it. I think Butters actually stole my thunder here, talking about how the tournament evolves over the course of each of the days, each of the weekends. When we came into this tournament, it was very much a tank meta. It was very much pick the beefy boys, make sure you have 3 beefy boys, otherwise you're not going to be successful. And now what we're seeing is the Kallari meta. I mean, it's Kallari, Yurei, Assassins. They are the most hotly contested things right now on the market. And I'm really excited to see kind of how these top teams are going to handle that tomorrow in the top 8 elimination. I think that's the most exciting part for me. It's just watching this game evolve, watching how, as Butter said, how these players adapt to all the different things that are happening and how they're learning from one another. And again, you know, 07's in chat for GT because they cooked so that other teams could learn from what works, what doesn't work, what might work in the future. You know, they took one for the team today, and you gotta salute them for it.
Right. And I feel like we haven't seen too many in terms of the bans. Yeah, the bans have kind of been, you know, static across the board, but there's been a lot of just different compositions through every team, right? And we've had so many tournaments, Doc, where it's like Rampage first pick, first ban every single time. This time there's so many different options for these teams to go with, and I'm absolutely here for it as our hero pool continues to expand, and a new splash damage type hero will be making their entrance towards the end of June. But Doc, let's take a look at the brackets. We'll start with the NA side of things first. Let's see how everything panned out. As we go over to there, we'll see our qualifying rounds. That's where we ended the day today. And Zen versus Space Cadets, that one is still ongoing as they fight for that 7th seed.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to look at here. Yep, down in the bottom right. Yep, yep.
You got it.
Yeah, no, it is still ongoing. It's a 1-1, so they're in that game of Game 3. Very, very exciting. We hope that maybe we'll be able to share some highlights tomorrow if there's anything that's fun, or if you're a spectator, maybe you can send us some highlights. That'd be pretty sick. Cool. Profs, they take the 2-0 over GT. We just watched that. Suns, they 2-0 HP. That's I can't say we're surprised by that. I mean, Suns, again, they, in my opinion, they were one of the top 3 teams coming into this, coming into this weekend. So I'm eager to see how they kind of pair up against some of these other powerhouse teams. Dread looks like they won by default there, and they have another opportunity here to potentially stay in this thing despite how everything is played out for them. So excited.
Doc, there's $14,000 split between both regions, of course, on the line. These players are fighting for it as we take a look at the full-on bracket. This is the pinnacle stage that you're looking at, folks, and this is where we will start our day tomorrow. This is a standard double elimination bracket. No funkiness going on here. It's just win your best of 3, move on. You lose, you go down the lower bracket. If you lose again, you are out. Any matchups you're looking forward to here, Doc?
Well, I mean, C4, they are a very strong team. They've just had some difficulty closing out games beyond the 40-minute mark. So I'm eager to see whoever comes out of the Zen game. I'm eager to see how that plays out with C4. Can C4 adapt overnight into tomorrow and actually learn how to close a game out? Because they're very, very dominant across the map. I mean, they were so methodical and clean that it almost reminded me of watching some EU predecessor. So they got to work on sharpening the knife just to finish it off. So I think for me that's probably the most exciting one. I think they're all going to be bangers, but that's my personal one.
For sure. I'm looking at FA and Profs. You feel like that is the finals that we'll be seeing right in the quarters. Let's take a look at the EU side of things. There are plenty of lads over there looking to fight. And another opportunity that should be like the grand finals. It's Nightshade EU versus Veni Vens. That's the match I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, those Veni Vens, they came out of here, like, they came out today and just systematically chopped up their competition. They were just, I mean, they probably had no more than 15 kills across several games, but they just were in control every second of every game, and I'm so excited to watch them play against NSEU, because NSEU is notably former champions and very strong. Hope NXR, I'm eager to see that as well. Hope, I had the privilege of watching some of their scrimmages, and Hope excites me, man. I think they're low key being slept on. Same with Sync. If Sync can get their stuff together, I think they have a chance. Or Sync was in the lower.
They were in the lowers, but yeah, that's okay. They could still have an opportunity to make a deep run. We've seen it before. But yeah, so much to look forward to on the other side of the pond. The EU scene, those guys doing it so tactfully, like a chess match every single game. It has been a pleasure to work with you through this tournament so far, my friends. We still have more action to show you tomorrow, but while you're waiting for that, it's a good time to hop into the game. I know that's what I'm going to be doing. Probably I got all the things in the Victorious bundle, but if you haven't, you definitely should. And make sure that you go onto the web store and get some of those plat from the store, because you get those extra ones, Doc, and that's enough to get you one of those minor skins and just increase your pool overall.
Yeah, I already linked it. It was super easy. Literally click the link, boom, done. It required no effort. So, and if I could do it, I'm the litmus test for how simple a thing is. If I can do it, you can do it too.
That's right. Doc has a PhD though, so take that with a grain of salt. It's all good, my friends. We thank you so much for tuning in. From HD Philly, from Dr. Shadow, Kashi, our observing and admin crew, F6, and everybody over on PCC. We thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Colorblind, sinking into afterlife. Man, I love the state of mind, drifting through the ultraviolet light. Drifting through the ultraviolet colorblind, sinking into afterlife. Man, I love the state of mind, drifting through the ultraviolet. So bring me to the garden, listen to ultraviolet. Never felt so focused, all my senses heightened.
They want to go and trade that in the jungle with, unless it is Grux jungle, which I heavily doubt. But instead, we're going to get Assassin versus Assassin. High tempo, high risk, high reward from both teams. The Kalari picked up. We discussed it earlier, Essex, where the Kalari was available even with the Feng Mao banned away. Boris left the race side, which is rather interesting from both teams, but instead they just want that kill potential for the ganks.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta make sure you secure the kill. Boris, they don't necessarily find it too much. I can see where if you have a Ure, you don't want to pick up the Boris, but if you want to look at two burst assassins that can be able to change the game, it's going to be that Ure and that Kalari, right? But like you said, I mean, I'm looking at both these comps. I'm kind of a little bit more favoring towards Nightshade EU. But if you think about Veni Vens, if the Muriel ult is not ready and available, it's going to be a little bit rough for anybody really trying to enter that pit, or if M doesn't rotate on over.
Yeah, I think in terms of team fighting, Nightshade EE just has the stronger composition. There's more circles, Stoneforge Soul plus the Soul Storm, and then you have a lot of self peel on the carries as well, plus Penguin on the phase. You can never count that out. But if any events can get that pick potential that we talked about their playstyle before, then they can 100% look to kill Penguin, look to kill Mankey, maybe even get Neft if the phase is not in the right place. And there's a lot of damage with the Bellica as well. If they go for that full power potential, not go for the auto attack, instead go for the isolation kills on the Void Bomb as well. So there is chances for any events to come into this, but they definitely have to harvest the composition to play.
Veni Vens looking to pick apart these Nightshade EU teams. Nightshade EU looking to fight a nice standard little MOBA fight front to back whenever it is available. But Philly, Dr. Shadow, this one, you guys have to talk us through it.
Thank you, lads. Doc, I cannot believe this is how we get to start the Pinnacle stage. This feels like it should be a grand finals match. We have the best teams in EU. It's Nightshade EU versus Veni Vens. I'm looking at these junglers. They can carry the game.
Yeah, this is, I mean, Falcon said it perfectly. High risk, high reward, high tempo. I mean, these junglers, they're going to be the game that we're watching. There's a lot of exciting stuff in this game, but really those two, just again going back to how we wrapped up yesterday about how the meta has sort of evolved throughout this tournament, seeing this prioritization of assassins, it's just so exciting to watch, because I can't remember the last time I had so much fun watching junglers.
Just these two are so mechanically gifted, the players and the heroes themselves, right? Just being able to see some of the trickery they do to secure these kills. And speaking of securing kills, Doc, Nightshade EU, not any true CC. A lot of slows, a lot of displacement abilities, some roots, but nothing really to lock you down. So they're going to have to hit their spells, hit their autos to secure some of these kills.
Oh yeah, it's going to be tough. I do have to give the slight edge right now to Veni Vens, and just in terms of they actually have a way to make the Ure stop jumping around and doing assassin things, whereas Ven on this Kalari, there's not really any huge threat to him. Yeah, maybe Penguin can root him. That's about it. They're just gonna have to blow him up. That's really their option, is have Neff and ManQ just delete him from existence before he gets to play the game. But otherwise, yeah, it's really challenging. But this duo lane, this is where I'm gonna be watching personally, just because when we look at these 10 players in this game, Conte is really the one that stands out to me. He was formerly a jungler, and he's now taken on this role as the support with Septic. So I'm going to be looking at him to be really aggressive, because that's sort of his flavor and his play style. Whereas in this duo lane with the side of Nightshade EU, it's I mean, it's Penguin and Neft, right? They're a little bit safer. They're a little bit more methodical. They're a little bit more patient when it comes to just hitting their timings and then hitting the gas and going.
Yeah, with the Grim, you need that 3-item spike. We always talk about it. So how do we keep him safe until they get to that point? And Penguin will take the front line on that blink right in just to go the trade their way. And we talked about how it's actually the Venivents who want to play aggressive because Conte, running the Ion Eternal, wants to pump in these abilities and get that damage into scale within this game, get some of those items online. I was thinking with the itemization, he might go a Prophecy at some point, Doc, just to get some of that extra damage in.
Yeah, maybe later in the game. He's definitely going to be hitting a Marshal and a Time Warp to really maximize the power of that Ion, to really get ahead of Penguin and stay ahead and be oppressive, because that's really their win condition in that duo lane, is over-oppress and keep Neft from getting to enter the game with that 3-item timing that you so nicely mentioned. But over here, we can see, we do see Import. He's now starting, he's wrapping up his red buff, and Grux was giving him some eyes, but nothing's going to come out of that for now. Bond being crushed under tower here. This off lane is one that we have not talked about yet. This M Grux with the Morrow Eternal. The limit testing embodied, right? He's just able to get down so low and not really be too afraid of dying. On the flip side, you have Greystone, who really, he weathers the storm very nicely, but again, he doesn't offer that control. When he joins his team, all he really offers is the Stoneforge Soul, and just being a meat shield for the rest of his team if they're able to get a front-to-back team fight going.
Yeah, you would imagine there might be a coordinated dive, right, onto Septic, onto Conte, because the Mural doesn't have as much peel, right? It's like if you do get on top of the duo lane, it can be difficult. If you try to charge up the stun, you're left out a little bit. The Consecrated Ground does some healing over time, etc. So you really have to play your angles carefully and set yourself up. Positioning is key for Conte, and as soon as that's the Reversal Fortune comes online, Doc, you can help M on the other side dive in, help with the 1v1. You can go on to Ven too if they dive in for a gank. So there's multiple contenders for that ultimate. So a lot of playability. Bond, though, as you mentioned, will have to just kind of weather the storm here until he gets level 6. Hard for him to make trades, but with the Tainted Blade, he might be going for the Serrated Blade. He's going for it.
I love that pickup so early. It makes his game just so good. I mean, it's such an underrated tier 2 item. Just getting it this early doesn't allow him to dissuade M from doing that limit testing to such a degree that he ordinarily would. He's feeling the confidence. He's able to just step up, and he's doing some good fighting here. Even the double pain you can see there didn't heal M nearly as much. In fact, 40% less than it normally would. But Seedlings, this is where some of the spice, some of the fight is happening, because we see a convergence here by multiple players.
That was a quick one from Import. We mentioned how their pathing is going to be sublime. A stampede under the tower will get first blood. Bond steps forward too high.
Bond assaults the gate, does that as M is charging a pole, yoinks him right under the tower, and there's nothing he can do because his escape mechanism, assault the gates, is on cooldown. Import being hunted here by Ven. Then instead is going to opt to look to invade that 2 camp and deny some resources from Import, and this is the classic EU jungle strategy. They love taking these 2 camps, and there's really nothing that anybody can do about it at this point in the game, because you have a Howitzer in the mid lane, and Greystone is only level 5, so he's just looking, and he also has to respond to this giant creep wave, minion wave coming under his tier 1 tower.
Yeah, Doc, Bondur's kind of stuck over there, right? Not much he can do. But yeah, it was a technical knockout. Fighting over that Seedling, unable to get the hunt off Import, but took a ton of damage from the Death Mark. And then he had to go back to base, which opened up that 2 camp. So we talked about how this is going to be a chess match in the jungle. Each and every step leads to some outcome. And that time, the big experience monster camp in the jungle going the way of Ven. Still level 5 for now, so no guillotine available, but the Fangtooth is online. But if I know these EU teams, they have to wait for a critical mass point before they strike that Fangtooth, so I don't think they'll go for it just yet. But these two in the off lane, they're going at it once again.
Ben's duo lane has just reset. I did want to call that out. They just reset. They're going to be fully healthy. They've got their items online here with the tier 2 components of the Lightning Hawk on Septic, and this is kind of a potential window for them to think about making a move to open the door for that first Fang of the game. On the flip side, though, Neft and Penguin have also reset, so we are getting to the point where something is going to be happening here very soon in the duo or in the mid lane, and that's whoever comes out on top of that is likely to walk right into that Fangtooth, unless Import. No, he's just dewarding right now. For a second, I thought he was going to pull a Ven. We saw yesterday Ven not afraid to just walk into some objectives and solo them right off the bat. Obviously, he's not a Boris, not able to do that, but you never know. Ven's got some tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, both of these assassins, especially Kalari, can dish out some damage to the Fangtooth, to the Prime, much stronger than folks seem to realize at given points during the match. This juncture, it's kind of just waiting for some of those items. People need those first items to really make the move. Bomb Druid pressured once again. Doc, I noticed that he's been leveling the Sacred Oath secondary just so he can get that extra reach, so he doesn't have to fight into the Grux, but still can trade back. He's going in for the Blink and they assault the gates. No mana though on M. One more hit will do it. Bomb Druid, he's jumping, he's chasing. Does he have the cooldowns available? M giving him the ring around the rosy. The assault, the gate dodge. How is this possible? But Import will clean up the kill.
Import. Great pincer movement there. I mean, he sees that happening in real time, in slow motion, and he's able to just approach from the other side of the river. In the meanwhile, over here in the duo lane, we're seeing some nice exchanges here. They're just beating each other, but that kill onto M is going to put Import a little, slightly ahead of Ven in the jungle, and this is kind of the opportunity. And Nightshade, they're taking the opportunity here, feeling good about themselves. They're going to opt to take the first Fang of the game, but Ven, he knows this is happening. He is pulling Meyer from the mid lane to assist with that mini Prime, and we'll be looking to see who they put it on. If they put it on M, if they take it on to Ven, it really depends. I can see M rotating over there, but I have a feeling they're going to give it to M because M is their off-lane monster. He is the raid boss, and they want him to just absolutely eat Bondru alive and keep him out of this game.
And he's been doing that well so far.
Yeah.
It's about a 200 gold advantage in that lane for M. One plate down a piece, and luckily Bondru knew he had a small window to take one plate. He's like, now I'm going to be back under my tower for another 5 minutes or whatever it is, as the mini Prime minions will be pushed into him. But this lane over here, the duo, we've mentioned how aggressive Ponte and Septic want to be, but they've been losing these trade stock and giving over a lot of gold buffs to Neft and Penguin.
Yeah, it's actually going very nicely for the side of Nightshade EU. Conte, again, we've mentioned, he has the Ion Eternal, and at this point in the game, I would expect him to be about 400 or 500, maybe 600 gold over Penguin, and at this point, he's only about 100 gold ahead of him. So it's the gap is not as vast as one would expect. I would expect like a half item almost at this point. So they're definitely holding their ground very nicely. So if you're a Nightshade EU fan, you're kind of resting easy right now in that duo lane with your hopes on Neft. But M is getting pursued here by Import.
And we know Import loves to play through the offlane. That's usually the win condition. And so trying to help out his offlaner, he need Bomb Druid, right? They have to be the frontliner or just the duo dive, right? They have to go in together in some of these engagements. So he can't let his Greystone fall behind to the might of the Grux. So I like this adjustment here. A lane we haven't talked about too much is the mid lane. Mainq and Meyer, I've just been farming it up. Ven pays him a visit just to say, hey, I'm lingering around, don't get too comfortable.
Well, Import's also around, so I don't think Meyer should get too comfortable. We can see both from the side of Nightshade are counter-rotating with Ven, as Ven is looking to close in on Neft.
Oh, that was a huge block on the dagger, and then the movement speed gets him away from the guillotine. The Frenchman will not be beheaded in the duo lane. Neft, the best to ever do it.
And Neft, with his augment there, he is going to get more regen after blocking an ability with that shield, so that's even longer that he gets to stay in that duo lane, get some more farm, kill some more minions, and just continue managing that lead. He's now over 500 gold ahead of Septic, which is not major, but it's Neft. You give him an inch, he's going to take a mile, and that's the duo lane right now for Nightshade EU is playing out exactly as they want. It's exactly their strategy. Man Q, though, under duress here with Ven.
We've seen those daggers do a lot of work. The Soulstorm kind of stopped there. It looks like the Neural Disruptor kind of popped him in the skull. We were talking about how Meyer is going to be a critical person in this to stop some of those ultimates like the Howitzer, like Import Soulstorm, right? Just pluck them out of the sky. And so we saw a great shot there in the mid lane. Some more pressure here in the duo. Doc, I'm loving this Plasma Blade start from the Grim players.
Yeah, it's just a very solid pick. It gives Neft a lot of what he's looking to get. It gives him attack speed, it gives him magical and physical power, which both benefit his auto attacks. It gives him critical chance. I mean, it's overall just an incredible item, especially on a Grim. But yeah, Meyer, I just want to go back to that. I want to call out the fact that he has the Vesh. That does give him, he is focusing on ultimate ability haste and ability damage, ultimate damage. So he's leaning into being a Neural Disruptor bot, basically, in this game to really shut down the Greystone, shut down the Soulstorm, shut down the Make It Rain from the Howitzer. So he has a very, very important and clear role serving as this Bellica in this game. And it seems like such a small thing, like leaning on that brief little silence, but interrupting a major ultimate will make or break team fights at this skill level. And if there's someone who's capable of doing it, it's Meyer.
And especially when some of these ultimates are also used as escape or revive, right? If the Howitzer's trying to run away and you silence him, he drops, and then you get him. Yeah. One kill opens up objectives, as we saw for that first Fangtooth take. So very critical for Meyer to be on their A game. And Doc, speaking of Eternals, we did show Import here for a little bit. Running the Demiurge really wants to be a carry jungler in this instance and scale with the items. And so that Manta Scythe is going to help him clear the jungle camps quickly, get those stacks online, and really become a menace.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, it's a different play style in terms of the Demiurge. We saw Ven yesterday running Demiurge on the ERA, but he had a different philosophy. He had different minor blessings picked up in terms of how to utilize that. But we can see here, based on the way Import is, I don't want to call it itemizing, but picking the Eternal. Yeah. It's showing that his focus here is clearing the map in a consistent, reliable way and using that fast clear to stay ahead and make rotations. But as I say that, Man Q gets knocked up and almost gets burst down from the death mark. Ven going to be looking for the cleanup. Septic's Long Arm of the Law is not going to connect on the Man Q from across the map, and he should be able to get out of this unless Ven pursues, but looks like Import's cutting him off.
Ooh, the jungler v jungler. The assassins will be severed. Import will take this one. That was a wonderful read from the jungler, recognizing the pathing of his opposing number to try to take down the mid laner. That might open up the Fang, but Import's pretty low. No, he's going to go for it, Doc. He says, this one's for me.
Well, that's part of what the Manta Scythe is for. It gives you that, lifesteal? Yeah, it gives you 7% lifesteal, attack speed. It gives him that sustain that Ure desperately needs in these jungle camps, especially the objectives. So, yeah, he does not feel too afraid to come in. And with the additional regeneration coming out from Penguin as well, he's basically juiced up. They get the second Fangtooth. They're moving a little bit quicker around the map now, out of combat, and he's looking to reset, looking to move to that red side of his jungle, and probably going to be trying to make something happen in the mid lane or in the off lane. But as I say that, though, I'm going to most likely be getting another mini prime. This is going to be the second one in this game. And honestly, I didn't even notice this, but Bondrewd actually has the tower advantage in the off lane. When did that tower fall? Am I blind?
I was just about to say that, Doc. I was like looking over, I was like, wait, there should be a tower over there. I believe it fell around the 14-minute mark. So Bondrewd winning some of these trades. And look, he is up a level. And so Bennyvens, their win condition is through this offlane. They've been putting so many resources into M, but he is behind. And so in NSEU, they feel like they're good all across the map right now. Bondrewd going in for the trade, knowing he has the Stoneforge Soul. He is making his way through and just beating up on this Rhino.
That is the opposite tower from what I expected. Import looking to apply a little extra loving over here to M in the off lane, just saying, hey, I'm here, I'm in the game, don't forget about me. It's going to be enough to kind of just hurt him, but Man Q, he is just getting looked at consistently. Ven jumping under the tier 1 tower, forcing to Make It Rain out onto Ven, popping damage after damage, and that's going to be enough. The counter ultimate to retaliate is going to give him a kill. And now Bond, he is on top of Meyer. This guy, this Bellica's in danger.
Now, that's a nice use of the Blast Flower to kind of skirt some of the damage, but won't skirt the kunai of Import. He nets himself another. And this is where we talked about, like, Manq being so good at this burst howitzer, and if you try to dive him, he can one-shot you if he's got the full kit available, and Ven wants to play aggressive, is running the Lotus Eternal, so wants to get kills, wants to get stacks online, and that time came up empty, and now it's the Shaper for NSEU.
And Import with that Manta Scythe again. He feels confident. He starts soloing the Shaper, gets it below half HP. He has Penguin here to now just boost him up, heal him up, give him some regen, keeps him in the fight that much longer. And they're going to look to potentially invade, maybe just reset, maybe just get some items. All the meanwhile, this brawl in the off lane, just a bloodbath.
Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh man! Oh, that one! No, the Vanquisher diff.
Yeah, Vanquisher diff, bro. Oh my god.
Oh, Doc, I was just about to say, you feel like the Greystone maybe now has the timings, but with a Basilisk and Sky Splitter for M, he's going to take these 1v1s. He's okay with getting low. Morrow is at his back, and so those two will be going at it. Now the offlane equilibrium is balanced, as all things should be. We'll see how Bond decides to respond. Import on his 5 camp over there, just hanging around, needs to help his offlaner out.
I mean, it's about time that offlane got equalized. That's too many primes that have gone the way of them. Yeah. At some point, you got to just say, okay, take the tower, please. So that does feel good on the side of Benny Benz, equalizing that tower. But all the meanwhile, the duo lane tier 1 tower did fall the way of Neft and Penguin. So they're patient. They're defensive playstyle is actually taking a lead, taking a massive advantage over Kante and Septic here in the duo lane. There's over 1,600 gold in favor of Neft over Septic, and even with the Ion Eternal, only 100 gold in favor of Kante here on the Muriel. So there's a massive economical imbalance over here.
Doc, it's all on the back of Penguin. Normally, phase players play behind the carries. They can pull them, they can lance from range, whatever. Penguin plays in front, so that way he can lance before you even think about stepping up. And how can they even do that, right? You try to put the consecrated ground down, but it's in a singular spot. So if you move out of it, then you're kind of screwed. So it's difficult for them to find the trades they're looking for. So Septic and Kante under duress, and Bond Druid too. He's getting wailed on. His armor taking so many dents. And though we'll push him all the way back to the base, that's a technical knockout.
That is a tactical knockout. There is no Stoneforge Soul on Bondrewd quite yet, so he could not hold his ground there and wait for reinforcements. He is forced to reset, and he's most likely to be walking toward this third Fang. Yep, there he goes, because the third Fang is going to be spawning, and as we always talk about, third Fang is the most important one. You have to, it is so important to get it because it will improve their offenses and defenses if they're able to secure it, which will further solidify their lead. And we can see Nightshade, they are here first. They are the ones in the position here to really pick an optimal fight unless they step out of bounds. But Neft and Import, they're coming. The teams are converging.
And there is no Warlord's challenge right now for M, so he might be waiting for that ultimate, whereas all the ultimates are available for Nightshade EU. Bond will dive into the backline looking exactly at his primary target, and that is the mid laner, and M has been chunked to oblivion. That has to be some of that burst damage, and the GTFO expended from Neff, and dude, they just push him away. This is a Fangtooth that they're going to start up. We'll see if they can finish it. And Nightshade notorious for starting the Fang and then peeling off to go for the full team kill, but I think BB, they can't contest this.
Neft and Import with that Manta Scythe, again, able to just easily do that. Bondrewd, he does fall, trying to create some space here at the outset of the pit in the river. Balancing it now, it is now a 4v4. Ven falls to Import. But all said and done, Nightshade, they come out on top, they get the third Fang, they are happy to disengage cleanly, count their loss with Bondrewd, and accept the fact that they are now stronger out of combat and in combat with all their offenses and defenses, and that is a huge win if you're a Nightshade EU fan.
And Doc, Bondrewd's okay with it, that's his job.
Yeah.
Look at me, I got 2 lives. You have to fight me or I'm gonna run you down. And they did get Ven. They got the jungler. So that is huge, especially as Import continues to scale into this game. With each level, Demiurge makes him stronger. And so he wants to farm as quickly as possible. So I love this for the side of Nightshade EU. But Ven's, Doc, is there a way for them? They're not out of this game yet, but you feel like it's slipping from their grasp.
They're not out of this game yet by any means. There's definitely an item disadvantage by Septic. Septic's about 2k gold now down from Neft, so he's not going to be able to box by himself. But if he's able to join an engagement with M and have M serve that kind of frontline role that Vens are really lacking, then there is a chance for them to get back into this game. Ven for me is struggling. He's struggling to find his footing. He's struggling to find targets that he's able to kill, and part of that is there's a little CC advantage in favor of Vens, but they don't really have reliable ways of locking people down, so they're able to just kind of walk away when Ven looks at them. Or fly away if you're man Q, right? So it's very, very challenging, and it's going to really take Vens to force an error out of Nightshade. And there's a team, if that's your game plan, it's going to be tough because Nightshade is a hard team to force an error out of.
Yeah, they're the ones forcing you to make errors time and time again. Something we haven't seen, Doc, is the reversal of fortune from Conte. We haven't seen M be facilitated in some of these 1v1s with Bond. They need to be communicating when the Stoneforge Soul is not available, like it is right now. So this has to be some of the gold button, but I think Conte feels uncomfortable leaving Septic by himself because one route will just obliterate him, right? From the opposite side, so that he feels like he's got to stay around. So they're playing crumbling just a touch. Man Q at level 17 right now, and he's got the Golem's Gift. That's one of my favorite items in the game.
Golem's Gift, again, it makes those mid laners, I know we've talked about this before, but it makes those mid laners deceptively tanky, which makes it very difficult for an assassin like Ven on this Kallari to just be able to jump on and immediately delete the mage from the engagement in such a way that you would hope. It just adds that little bit of, X factor that gives them that much longer as a mage to cast more spells, to pump out more damage, to be a little more useful to their team. And that's all Man Q really needs. He just needs to hit a couple R2000s, and then he doesn't really mind too much if he falls. One thing I did want to point out on your point about Muriel is you can tell that they feel like they're behind. We talked about potentially getting a Marshal into a Time Warp. He opted for Devotion first, which is a bit more of a defensive item, which shows that he was really just trying to survive rather than playing the game that I think they wanted to from the offset. But as I speak, Orb Prime getting gone on by Nightshade EU.
Secured by Import now. Will there be any exit kills? Yes, Naf, the primary target, will be slain by his opposite number. That's a big kill going the way of Septic. They need to get more, though, and they'll find it. Ven, with the guillotine, will slice through the mech, take down the hamster. So 2 felled. Only 3 remain alive with that prime at their back.
Hey, that is 3 heroes with an Orb Prime, with the 4th Fang of the game spawning soon. That's going to be 3 heroes who can pump out lane priority across the map still. It's better than 1, it's better than 2. It's not as good as 4, but it's it's still decent, right? They're still going to be able to really optimize map control around whether they send someone to the off lane real quick just to get a wave going, building there. They definitely will be able to apply some pressure in the duo and in the mid lane here, which will set them up to have an optimal position for this 4th Fang of the game. And you can see now, Vens, they are 3 of them are resetting right now in preparation for this next engagement. Whew. These teams, so disciplined.
Conte was going for the split push. We've seen this from Euros before, but now with out of gas, barely any mana, the alacrity, the speed boost into the flower, but the assault, the gates, and the make way. Some extra shielding now, but being pulled in under the tower. Bondage to go too far. He's given everything for the support. Does he get the Stoneforge in time? Yes! Slamming into the ground, and then it will be skewered by the laser. How is this guy still alive? He can't get away with this, and he doesn't.
Bond, though, he's pulled the resources of Muriel, who still has Reversal of Fortune. Oh, actually, no, she doesn't. And the Grux over in the off lane. So now there's a numbers advantage here in the Fangtooth fight, but Ven is able to steal it. And that's going to be the first Fang. That's going to be a Primal Blazed Vens. Oh, Nightshade in danger.
Oh, this is a huge turnaround. Exactly what they were looking for. The Assassin doing their job and Septic doing his, finding Neft again. Vens, they found a way back into this.
Vens, they definitively get back into this game. What looked to be like such good space from Brondrude over in that off lane, pulling the Muriel, pulling M over from this Fangtooth pit, turns into an absolute nightmare for Nightshade as Ven is able to get the hunt off just before Import there in that engagement, and that is going to be Primal Empowered Vens. Venivens, they're down in Fangtooth objectives, but they're very much still in this game, especially with the Primal Blaze. This Kalari is an absolute threat right now.
The gold lead has shrunk from about 6 to 4,000, so NSEU still in the lead in that regard, but they're down 1 kill. They got 3 fangs, so it's been a pretty back and forth affair, Doc, which we have expected from these teams. I'm glad to see M picking up the salvation because he was feeling very squishy in some of those previous engagements. Now feels like he can do the damage. The Mutilator, that's 4 items now on this Demiurge import. They are going to be packing a punch as well, but they're losing structures around the map.
They are hemorrhaging structures right now as a result of losing that Primal Blaze, because it's very, very difficult to fight into Venivens' composition right now because of the pure damage and because of how just vulnerable Nightshade EU is with this. I mean, just with the way their draft is, right? Their only front line right now is the Greystone. So Bondrewd, he's not too afraid, but he's forced over there in that off lane, stuck up against M. Sorry, I was choking.
It happens. Well, we hope neither of these teams choke at this moment. It looks like Venivens have a clear condition back into this game. Bondrewd forced to use the Stoneforge Soul and his crest as well. He is really under the gun in that offlane. M coming online at this point. We feel like the Rhino usually needs to steamroll their way through the match, but he's gone on this steady pace and feels almost insurmountable at this moment.
I mean, that's the Primal Blaze for you. Bond can't fight him in the same way that he had been for the last 25 minutes, right? He just absolutely gets melted, and they tried to pick him off with that. Still no Vanquisher on Septic, but they tried to pick him off with Burn plus the Long Arm of the Law. Bondrewd did, though, have to use his Stoneforge Soul, so that is at least another minute or so where he doesn't have that second life, which means it is a potential window for Venivens to pick a fight, but they don't really need to right now, right? Like they've cut the gold lead from 6,000 now to below 2,000. So they've cut the gold lead by 66%. There are no objectives up. There's no real reason to hemorrhage out kills. So I think Venivens should be feeling pretty comfortable to just kind of control the map, get their feet back under them, and just do what they just did again.
Yeah, I actually loved that siege. He was very patient, and the reason why they got that gold lead back is the minion waves were so close. They could just farm the minion wave quick, farm it again, and so they used the pressure, the Primal Blaze to farm and get the gold lead in a more manageable position. So I love that, just good, intelligent play. It doesn't matter how fast or how long the game goes, we just need to win it. And let's find our condition back into this one. A Gutronum now for M. Now he gets those tank items. Now he wants to get into the thick of things. Shaper is the next objective on the board, Doc. These teams will be eyeing it up, but I don't know if they want to engage just yet. It feels contentious to do so.
I'm a little worried for Nightshade currently, just because Venivens have been doing such a good job finding Neft in these objective engagements. Like at the Orb Prime and the Primal Fang, they found him immediately. So I'm going to be watching him to see if they're able to pick him off at this Shaper, because Venivens, they know that Nightshade is at least looking at this objective.
I think they can hear it, right? You can hear the stomp, and you can see the little like name bars go up and down when people get hit by it, like me every time. But yeah, I think they're doing the NA or the NS Classic, Doc, where it's just like, let's force an objective and peel off of it. And if you don't step up, then we'll finish the objective. Now we've got Seedling priority in the lanes. So okay, looks like they will give it up. There's no clear way for Venivens to engage M, trying his best on the stairwells, but runs right into the bodyguard known as Bond, who will use the Stoneforge Soul again, and a lob shot from range will take the Rhino down. It's a full-on Bedlam in the jungle. Let's make it rain with souls, as a Soul Storm will crash down upon the battlefield. It is Neft who is standing tall like a titan, obliterating the opposite side. It's now you see me, now you don't. 4K for Neft.
And just like that, Neft, the carry I was so worried about in this game based on how well Venivens were finding him, is able to just, allow Bondrewd to do his job. Bondrewd, during the Shaper, was pinching off both M and Ven over in that side angle, and right out of the gate, once the objective fell, it was just front to back perfection from Nightshade EU, feeding Neft all of that money. So he, just like that, he goes from 0-2 to 4-2, and that was just a tough situation to be in. But that's part of the issue of Ven's draft right now is that lack of real, true, meaningful front line because they didn't really have an into that Shaper pit to try to contest it.
And it's hard to help M with the reversal of fortune, right? And going into Bondrew, who has the Stoneforge Soul, as they run down the core, Doc, was basically a team wipe, and they know their win condition. Game 1 will go to Nightshade EU, but I like the composition from Ven's, Doc. It just seemed like it was either a touch uncoordinated or a touch too difficult for them to work it through, because they had meaningful moments, good opportunities. It's just they needed everything to align perfectly.
They needed everything to align perfectly, and I think, at least for me, from my perspective, I think I was missing that activity from Meyer in the mid lane. With a Bellica over a Howitzer, you're really hoping to see early lane priority with some rotations. Part of that challenge is hitting seismic assaults without an initial stun can be quite challenging. So they might need to look at how to get Meyer engaged in the mid lane heading into game 2. But Nightshade, man, that was so freaking clinical. I mean, that was just patience embodied, and it was so clean. Just the way they said, we don't really care that Neff is 0 and 2, because you know what? He's level 18. As long as he gets a kill or two, he did his job.
Right, and he got the kills that matter, a 4K to end the game, Doc. It just popped off. The powder keg filled and exploded, and there's still more action in this series because it's a best of 3. But to break this game down, we'll send it back to 6 and Frau.
Well, there you have it. Nightshade EU taking game number 1, but they played pretty good in my opinion. There's like maybe 1 or 2 mistakes, but all around probably one of the cleanest plays we've seen thus far. Meanwhile, the Venivens, I don't think they played bad either. I think it was more of a draft diff kind of going into that game. But Falcon, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same as you, Essex. I think there's 1 or 2 moments in that game where if Ven did get those kills, if Ven didn't die on the back end, then the game could be very different. The momentum would be in his hands instead of imports. The gold would be towards one assassin and not the other, which could then cause a knock-on effect. But instead, we do have reality. Nightshade is the one who did take the victory. And you say it was mostly clean. I think there was a few things that Nightshade could have done that could have made it a bit more cleaner, could have made it a bit more faster, which we'll get onto in a little bit anyway. But I mean, it was a very exciting first game, at least.
I loved it, especially when you think about all the macro kind of that goes into a lot of those plays, especially earlier on. I mean, we're going to start off with the Bondrewd versus M. Kind of the first, that was kind of the first couple minutes of the game, is kind of seeing both of these offlaners go at it. M with a fantastic play right here. Oh my God, you just can't make this up. There's a reason why I have this guy just so up on my charts.
Yeah, I mean, that was Bondrewd just going to aggressive there, the smash and grab, easily pulled under tower. And I do like this play from M as well. Bondrewd going for the aggression, know that M hasn't got any mana, no blink either. But M, instead of giving the kill over to Bondrewd, does give it over to Import. This helps his lane overall because it's going to be less gold towards Bondrewd. Although in terms of the game state, Import getting that gold means he gets that first item, that mana scythe on earlier. It means that he can fight Ven easier as well. So it might have been better to give it to Bondrewd, but at least for his lane state, it was probably the correct decision.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I mean, M already had gotten the first blood, so he's like, hey, maybe I can be the carry throughout the game if I just give this over towards Import instead. So, I mean, there's still a lot of decisions. It didn't end up playing out just quite well, but going over to where that game kind of kept going, and it was kind of in the favor of Nightshade EU until this Fang steal right here from Ven. And I mean, this was just an outstanding play.
Yeah, Bondrewd created so much distraction on the opposite side of the map to allow Nightshade to start this off, but then just gets a steal, Versatile Fortune to follow through to keep him alive. On the back end, I believe that M does get a kill as well. Mayor does survive. And it is a chance for Venivens to come back. It is the first Fang Tooth for them. They don't get any really additional stats apart from the Pyro Fang Tooth and the elongated buff timers, but they can go aggressive because you can't really fight into that. And at that point in time as well, that all prime that Nightshade did take prior to that had run out. They didn't really have the stats to fight into it, and they had to wait to allow Venivens to maybe get the momentum back, maybe get back into the game, but that didn't happen.
It did not, because even though the game got a little bit closer, Venivens found a way to elongate the game. There was just a very special moment at 30 minutes in, the quadra kill coming in from Neff, and just an all-out, just great team fight, in my opinion, from Nightshade EU.
Neff do Neff things, but call on Penguin as well. His support in the backline, High Reflecting, just pushing him so much further, makes him basically unkillable as well. And all Neff has to do is just click on heads, carry roll very easy, GTFO follow through to kill Septic, and just a few more autos, gets that Quadra with the Wizard team. Maybe holding back some damage to get Neff the Quadra. I don't think that happened with how that all went. Then they followed through with the Orb Prime, pushed in to the Veniven space and ended it within 2 minutes. So again, Nightshade, once they had that chance to end the game, they were decisive, they were completely on the same board, and the game did end.
I mean, when you think about having a phase with you hitting away at that core doesn't have a lot of HP bar. We saw that kind of duo go throughout the objectives as well. They were able to burn objectives very quickly. But as we get ready for game number 2, looking in our picks and bans, Nightshade EU kind of one of the higher tier teams when it comes to drafting. We got to talk to them a little bit. We always hear them say in their interviews, this is something that they highly put on their list just as much as scrimming, right? So for Venivens, I'm kind of seeing how they're going to be able to kind of counter this, kind of come back into game number 2, kind of get themselves into a better position comp wise. Because like we said, overall, when it comes down to actually the macro and micro part of the game, they're playing just as well as Nightshade EU. They just didn't have the heroes to kind of facilitate what they wanted.
Yeah, like I said before the game even started, Venivens draft was going to be hardest to execute. It was going to need something special inside the game. And I mean, again, we'll go back. There was a chance they did come back from a significant goal difference of 7.6k at the height around that 24-minute mark when the All Prime was taken. But the phase is something I'm looking at, and also rather something interesting. Venivens did have side selection. They have gone for that second pick potential, so like I say, they still have the potential to first pick that phase if it's not banned away, which I'm sure they will do if it is available. The same bans have come through so far.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I know we talk a lot about Conte on his Mako, but also giving Meyer that Neon, one of those aggressive mid laners, you don't kind of want that in Meyer's hand. And giving him anything aggressive just lets him play his play style. And the phase is that character. Look at you, Falcon, calling it out like it is like a little cheat sheet.
Yeah, the Grim is going to be first picked. I mean, Neff got a quad to kill. Why not run it back? It's going to be interesting to see what they pair this Grim up. The phase does facilitate the Grim a lot, just not in the lane, but also in those team fights. So this is going to be a weaker Grim overall compared to game number 1. But even still have options. The Adele, obviously banned at last game, is going to be picked up. This is going to be in the hands of Conte M, not a massive Adele player. So this is going to be interesting to see if they can go for some sort of die comp on to this Grim, especially with the fact that base is no longer available. Like I say, they really need to think of what support they want to put Penguin on here.
Yep. And then it's going to be Adele with that 95% contestation rate, but this is the Grux that we see being picked back up by Venivens. They said that was not the problem. I do agree with you. Grux was able to do his thing. Was piloting, but Nightshade EU's turn of trying to figure out what that support is. I was going to say Richter, because you think about getting a reposition, right? Being able to lock somebody down for the burst damage to apply. Richter also a nice big shield to be able to frontline for into the dual lane. But if there's a double range matchup on the side of Venivens, might be a little bit rough. But it's a howitzer that comes out and kind of rounds out this build a little bit more for Nightshade EU.
Yeah, I mean, we already know Dell is going to be in that support role. Grux has been basically confirmed by M, so that should be 1 melee, 1 range versus 1 melee, 1 range in the duo side. And, I mean, right now, Nightshade kind of going for a pick comp. He's got a landmine as well from Howitzer who can dislodge or displace someone on the side of Venivens, so they're not really going for a massive team fighting comp so far. Meanwhile, on Venivens, the Drongo gets a lot of self peel, means that Dell can just go in and don't have to worry about their carry in these team fights. I think Venivens so far in this trio is probably stronger overall, but again, Neff Grim, what can you say?
That is true. What can you say? You can say Terra is banned out from Venivens. They don't want that into off lane. Still, though, they haven't really quite shown their hands on Venivens. The Dell, Triple Flex, so it's the Grux, the Boris, though. Nightshade EU says we don't want to see that at all. So there's still a lot more flexibility, more than likely. We do have the Richter as well, Nightshade EU, that can be flexed in both roles. But if you're thinking about what Venivens wants to do here, get rid of that Greystone. That's also a matchup that we just saw. So they don't like that. The safety net that applies, yes, you can win earlier on, but there's going to become a point where that Stoneforge Soul starts to become into effect. and it's the Ure that Nightshade EU decides to ban out, even though we saw a lot of success with that in the last match.
Zars is available. That's something that both of these junglers do play, and it does create a lot of engagement tools as well, especially if you pair that up with the Adele. But it's going to be the monkey from M. So this is rather interesting. Where is the jungler? Is it going to be Wukong in the jungle for Ven? Is it going to be the Grux? For me, I think M is a stronger Wukong player than Ven, so I expect that to be in the off lane, and Grux is going to be in that jungle. Might even have Grux support Adele in the jungle as well. But we'll have to see until we get that final pick. Rampage also picked up on the side of Nightshade, so we're not going to get any Zaras in this game, which is rather interesting. Again, another pick potential. You got that boulder. So Nightshade does putting everything into these single picks into objective fights.
And there it is, the Shinbi to round this one out. If you were going to stop the split pushing Wukong, you're going to need somebody else that's also very strong at that 1v1 and split push, and Shinbi is going to fill that void. And now Veni Vens get the strong pick here of the last pick to maybe kind of counter all this going on. And it's going to be in the mid lane. I'm looking at maybe a Faye, maybe she hasn't been doing too well, but probably looking at a Gideon as well. Might be able to create a lot of commotion throughout this mid. Maybe the Zinx. I just thought of it too. I was like, maybe it is that going to be the Zinx. Meyer definitely gets to get somebody more aggressive now throughout that mid lane. And this one's looking pretty good, pretty fun, in my opinion. I think this is a little bit more towards both of these teams' identities to be able to try and facilitate just an absolute banger of a game number 2.
I love the Zinx pick as well because you've got that neurogenesis. You're playing into a pick comp, you know exactly what the plan for Nightshade is going to be. As long as you are relatively grouped, you can use your ult on either yourself or on your teammates to counter out that pick, and that means most of Nightshade's tools are immediately used on a target that is still alive. The split push potential is going to be very important in this game as well. Whoever gets the advantage between Bondred and M in that regard is going to create a lot of space, a lot of tempo for the team, so that's going to be something that Philly and Shadow will need to keep an eye on. But the 4v4 is also going to be rather interesting, and overall I think Veni Vens might have a better draft.
Might think so, but hey, this is game number 2. This is the PCC. We are in the top 8 where teams are still fighting for that championship prize. Philly, Shadow, we got a game number 2 just for you.
Oh, thank you, Steve. I'm not a father, but that's a good present for a day, just to have some extra PCC action for this upper bracket semifinal match. This is a double elimination, so whoever falls here will have a second chance at life, but neither team wants to have to play extra games, and SCU looking to close it out. Doc, you mentioned right before we went to the desk that, Mayor, you need to see more from him. Is Zinx the key to do it?
Oh, I freaking hope so, because you know me, I am a Zinx enjoyer. I love this hero. I love seeing Zinx in the mid lane, especially in the EU region right now. There are a lot of mid laners who are playing her there, and she's very, very active, has pretty decent wave clear, all things considered, and actually potentially can lead a man queue. So I'm going to be looking to Meyer to get kind of active in this map, to be running around, battling, just doing Zinx mid lane things. And it's kind of like a backup plan too. Like if Septic has a similar game to last game, and he kind of falls behind a little bit, at least you can lean on the Zinx to kind of pick up some of the slack. And also, lastly, just to add, just to kind of emphasize what Falcon was saying on the desk, right? She really mitigates some of the pick comp desires that Nightshade EU is coming out of the gate with here, looking for a Richter hook, looking for a Rampage boulder into a Richter hook, whatever that might be. As long as Zinx is not the primary target of those abilities, she can mitigate some of that, and I really, really like that pick coming out.
I like it too, and going with the Thrakes as the Eternal really wants to box in these lanes, step up to the Hamster, who can be slow moving at times. But as we peek over at the offlane, Doc, we've got 2 split push aficionados going at it.
Oh man, I'm not expecting the offlane to be as exciting as last game, just because both of these heroes just love killing minions and applying wave pressure. M has to get the edge just a little bit, just because he's a little flashier, a little bit more of a threat when it comes to thinking about killing other enemy heroes. But Shinbi, piloted by Bondred, can't be underestimated, especially with that Ion Eternal.
Ooh.
So Bondred, even if he falls behind M, which at this point he is just a little bit behind in terms of XP, he's not going to be too upset about it because he has Ion, so he's always going to have just gold on gold on gold on gold.
Yeah. So all the fights, all the trades that they're doing, just extra gold into Bondrud's pocket. And the Prosperous Path augment for M gives him extra gold as well, and he's got the Demiurge. So try to keep pace if he can, Doc, with this Eternal matchup. So we'll keep an eye on the off lane, but those two will probably be farming for now as we take a look at Ven, who is on the Rhino. What can he get done in this match?
Ven, I mean, the Rhino, Grux, definitely still a hero worthy of Ven's playstyle. Very aggressive, very vertical, very oppressive to many laners, especially in the mid lane. And we've seen time and time again, he just thrives with aggression, and Grux is just another aggressive hero, right? And being able to pick that up in the draft and flex it to the off lane, it just adds value to their team. Man, Q though, getting out boxed, and that's going to be a first blood, and that is the power of the Zinx mid lane. I did not think that they were going, that Meyer was going to kill him in that exchange, but just tick-tocking the little disc, stunning him in place, locking that refrigerator down, and getting the auto attack is going to give a major boon to Meyer. Whew, already Ven's new draft absolutely kicking butt.
Doc, that's the power of the Thrakes. You get those basic attacks, you take less damage, you're given more in return. Let me step up on you, friend, and see if you can go toe-to-toe, and apparently Manq could not. Bondrud wants to dance with M in this moment, the pop star showing him some moves, but once again, no lockdown really in this lane, so much shielding and escapability. If our observer at the TDM gets a kill in this lane season, I'll be very impressed. As we look over to the dual lane, one we haven't talked about too much, there's some aggression here from Conte. We saw in the roster graphic that the Adele is one of his most played heroes, wants to jump in and jump out in this lane.
Yeah, and it's a stark contrast. Well, not really. I mean, it complements what he was trying to do with the Muriel last game. I just think they go about doing it a little more effectively, a little more efficiently with the Adele, being able to really empower his carry in that lane, but also being able to serve as that front line, which Septic was definitely lacking last game. But on the counter side here, Richter, Penguin is forced to blink as a result of Ven's rotation, but instead the Riplash pulls Ven under tower, and he says, psych, you're stuck in here with me, buddy, and that's going to be a second blood going the way of Nightshade Neff. Already a better start to Neff's game than last game as well, so Ven's kind of neutralizing that lead across the map.
Import hunting the Doctor because Manq has been taking so much damage in this mid lane. My goodness. I do want to highlight, though, Neff's Displacement Blast keeping everybody alive in that 2-0 lane just to force out the Stampede, which was a straight line. And that's an easy yoink under tower. So that duo lane is probably the best in the world, Doc. I don't know if there's a better partnership out there. They're so freaking good. The Fangtooth now is on the board. Both teams laying some vision down, trying to eye up the dinosaur's lair. Right now, I feel like the pressure has been going the way of Nightshade EU in that duo side. They might try to push it in as Import is lingering on this left side of the map.
Ven is also on this left side, starting the seedling, most likely clearing that up. This duo lane, though, they're applying some pressure. The gold buff is going to go the way of Ven's in that situation there. But as you said, teams are setting up for this. Rampage already jumping on. They've forced the duo lane on Ven's back to their tier 1. They've both reset, and that is the green light for Import and the rest of Nightshade EU to get this first Fang of the game. There's nobody nearby. Ven is on the opposite side of the map, most likely waiting another minute and 15 seconds for that mini prime to then put it on to Wukong. But Nightshade, this is the easiest Fang of their life.
Yeah, they get it again. That's been their priority in these early games. Hold on. Ven is here. Nope, just to check some HP bars, and they're like, nothing we can do about that. Speaking of Import, normally we see him go Rumble, Augment, Hexbound Bracers. I know that was like a patch ago. Now with this new 1.14.1, he's electing for the Tiny Titan. Normally we see that on the NA side of things. We'll see what the legendary Import can do with this attack Titan, if you will, as he continues to scale into this game. Ven with a good trade now can steal away the 5-can.
Then forces Bondrud out, is going to deny Import this one minion camp here and start to walk toward middle, but Import's nearby. Everybody's kind of looking. Ven, he's deciding, does he want this? Nah, he doesn't want any of that smoke. He's going to just go out. He's going to go elsewhere. But But something I did want to call out here is we talked about the Ion Eternal on Bondrewd, and it's already only 7 minutes into the game now, and he is 800 gold ahead of the Wukong. That is the power of the Ion Eternal, man. Like, that is a third of an item right now.
Uh-oh, Penguin being chunked and being put 6 feet under. The shrapnel cannon shreds through the Warden, and Septic finds the kill he was looking for. That is the kind of lane pressure we expected from this Bennyven's duo side.
And that is the downside to a Richter. You throw Riplash, if you miss it, you are vulnerable. You just stand still and you just eat all of the damage, and as we saw there, he ate all of the damage and paid for it dearly. But Neft, not too dissuaded, is still going to kind of step up a little bit there. He's going to get the timer, look to probably reset right now. But all the meanwhile, vision by Meyer around the mini prime pit. They're thinking about it. They want to get over there, but Ven, he's going to prioritize that red buff first before looking to pick a fight so that the red buff can do its job and tick down some enemy HP bars in the next engagement.
Doc, we've seen that red buff also steal mini primes that maybe they did not intend to give over to themselves. As we continue to move through this game, the Time Warp seems to always be the first item pickup for these offlane Mage Ion users, right? Because it just helps with the Minor Blessing so much. Penguin creating some space again. The Riplash does not find the mark. Now Conte locks him into the bed of roses. Will he spring them on his tombstone? Not just yet. Import is here crashing into the battle. He blinks. What? And a rock tossed in the face of Septic. A Queen's Guarded now to lock the little rampage in place, but Neff is running Conte down. The GTFO utilized and shot, but Septic will take the hit for support. Import can't find the kills he's looking for.
And all of those numbers on the side of Nightshade showing in the duo lane is the green light for the side of Bennyven's to start this mini prime. Bond, he's going to look to poke, look to peek, but there's 3 there, and Zinx wrapping around could catch Bondrewd off, especially if Bennyven challenges him to a duel.
Ooh, yeah, not a duel. Maybe he wants to take one rushing beat, and there's the ricochet. Bye-bye, Popstar. She gets blown up in the off lane. That's a big yikes. Doc, no circle rhythm of, like, it was only level 1, so not a lot of shielding for the Shinbi to try to engage. She gets caught.
Yeah, Bond paid with his life just to get a peek of the mini prime to see if there's anything he could do, but I don't think he had no knowledge that Zinx was where she was. So the follow-up to Ven's Warlord challenge was the stun into the bad medicine. And you know, Shinbi, what can you do when you get stunned in place for 3 seconds? That's how you stop a Shinbi. By the way, that's also how you stop a Wukong. Stun them in place for 2 or 3 seconds. So I'm going to be looking to see if we see a boulder into a Riplash or anything like that as the game kind of progresses. But that's going to be a long while because we are still in the laning phase right now. And in this duo lane, Penguin absolutely getting bullied by the rad rounds on this Drongo.
Jeez Louise, yeah, he's getting chunked there. The Intersil blessing keeping him alive in some of those fights, but still, we talked yesterday how Drongo is just so powerful right now. It's just a little bit sneaky, this Wastelander, in terms of the damage, and the bleed from his passive can chunk through anything, so it's just very good trading there in the duo. Ben hunting once more, but we'll peek back to the duo as Neff under pressure. Will they play forward? Yes, the skewer puts one down. Septic will take one more shot to be slain, and he'll do just that. Import will miss the rock, but now it is just Conte running like his head is cut off, and it's a double for Naft.
Conte thought, if I turn a hard right here, maybe they'll just stop following me. But he does end up falling. That is a double kill going the way of Neft. Very, very good play. Big opening skewer from Penguin. Again, he's happy to sacrifice his life if it means, you know, setting up his carry and his other team members for success. And he ended up not dying in that situation. So that's also a positive. As a result of that duo lane pick, they are going to look to get the second Fang of the game. They're going to be moving out of combat that much quicker. Ven was peeking. He was thinking about it, and he might not even be done thinking about it right now because Zinx is closing on this area as well.
Ben does have the Chieftain's Blink augment, so he can blink, you know, Warlord's challenge into some of these engagements if he feels bold enough. Mayor has been on man Q this entire time, dishing out the damage, and he's chasing this hamster all along the map. Let's see if this 1v1 goes the way. The Typhoon, what? How much is this one going? That is huge amounts of damage, and Meyer, he takes the solo bolo.
Man, Q, why were you over there, buddy? But I mean, that's the power of the Zinx mid lane. Like, you cannot escape her. You have to have allies with you to peel away from her. Otherwise, she will just run you down with the short cooldown on bad medicine, the short cooldown on the stun, the auto attack, the speed boost with the auto attack. I mean, there's no getting away from that little race car demon doctor thing in the mid lane, and as a result of that pick on the man Q, she's going to be securing herself 1, maybe 2 tower plates in that mid lane. That's going to be an even bigger gold injection, escalating her lead above 1,300 gold over man Q from that mid lane. So things are still very, very even when we think about it across the map. Slight gold advantage though, the way of Nightshade, just because of how the duo lane and the off lane are going right now.
And yeah, that Ion definitely helped with that, but a couple of plates going the way of Neft, and that's always been their win condition. How do we facilitate the Frenchman to win us the game? And let's keep him safe. It's this 4 protect 1 style. We'll create pressure across the map so he has chances to farm, and then when there's one big engagement we need to win, he's there, he rides in triumphantly and kills everybody. So just the ticking time bomb known as Neft and the crew. Septic and his counterpart Stock, you feel like they need to go early. They need to win this game quickly before things get out of hand.
I don't know, Meyer's doing a pretty darn good job. The stun is going to miss. Typhoon will allow him to get out. The boulder is not going to connect. Man Q does use his Make It Rain there, so that is his escape mechanism used. No kill to show for it. And Meyer, overall, pretty healthy after that exchange there, but Penguin's also lurking in this mid lane.
Does he have available... The skewer is online, yeah, just putting some vision down, right? That's what support's like to do, but... Now Shinbi, with the Golem's Gift, with the Time Warp, is pumping out the magical damage. M has to get a couple more stacks for Bondra to unleash the all-kill. The Wolfpack not ready just yet, but M feels like they might be able to get this. The Cycle Breaker goes wide. Still the spotlight on the monkey, but he'll get out of dodge in this one. Very close, but Meyer, on the other hand, continues to engage. And he gets it again. This Sinks just running everybody down. Import, maybe next on the menu. It's sushi for lunch, but he'll be able to hop, skip, and jump away from this.
I mean, Meyer just so confident, even though Import's standing right there with him. Meyer just knows what his power limit is right now and doesn't care. Kills the refrigerator, sends him back, resumes just applying more and more pressure in this mid lane. And there's nothing Import can do right now. They're going to need to just buff up numbers if they want to shut the Zinx down right now, because she is having a absolute game right now. Oh man, also I just wanted to call out, totally unrelated, Golem's Gift on the Shinbi. We always call out that item just because it's kind of fun, but it makes her that much harder to kill. It makes her that much tankier, and it makes M's life much more difficult in terms of winning a one-on-one against the Shinbi. So just wanted to call that out. You know, got to stay consistent with what we say.
Hey, we're big Golem Gifts enjoyers, always have been, but not enjoying these trades as Penguin every time goes for a Rick Blast is being punished. But the trade going the way of the dual lane for Nightshade in this, just because so much armor on that ward, and he is beefy.
And Man Q, he started to make his way over, but realized, they're under the tower. Hold that because there's a Warlord's challenge on the Bond, and he's just dip, dive, dodging, breaking ankles, casting all of his spells. That's going to be a line tempo after a line tempo.
Doc, it's crazy out here. Import now blinks forward and finds his opposite number. M's like, wait, what happened? This was supposed to be our fight to win. The force push will move them away, but a line tempo into the sky. You didn't recognize that change, and that's a 2 down in the off lane.
Bond, because of the Golem's Gift, staying alive that much longer from the physical damage that Ven and M pump out. He is able to just break their ankles and buy time. Import shows up, he hits the stuns, he gets on top, he finishes M, and then he finishes Ven, then he cleans up M with the help of the line tempo from the Shinbi, and that is just the danger of this Ion Eternal here, just being complemented by Import's mere existence. And as a result of that, you know, they know that Ven is dead, they know he's coming from the base. That's the green light. This is going to be a third Fang, almost entirely uncontested, going the way of Nightshade EU. They're now stronger and faster, and they're going to be looking to just continue spiraling this lead with the mini prime that is up for the next 4 minutes. I'm expecting somebody to start looking at that, but all the vision is in favor of Ven events at this point in time. So they're probably going to have to bring numbers, or they're going to look to go defend and just start taking some towers around the map.
It's been a clear win condition for Nightshade EU. They've been prioritizing the Fang every single time, not in this game, but also in game number 1. They haven't really touched the Mini Prime unless they feel like they've got all the assurance in the world to do it. And so I love that for them, where I love when a team has a clear goal, they stick to their game plan, and they follow the flow chart. That's exactly what Nightshade is doing. Now the Mini Prime on the board for the side of BV to work. I imagine it would go to M to kind of help balance out the lane, considering he lost his tower.
That's what one would think, and that is what one is going to see happen here. Good call there, HD Philly B. M does get the Mini Prime. That is going to allow him at least an opportunity here to equalize the off lane. But speaking of equalizing, the duo lane disequalizes. I don't even know what the word would be there, but they take the tier 1 tower in the duo lane, claiming an advantage across the map there for themselves and injecting another chunk of gold into their own team economy. But in the mid lane, we didn't call it out, but Meyer has utilized his emphatic advantage over ManQ to take that tier 1 tower, which does open up that map now as we head into this mid and mid-late game.
Can they utilize it? That's the question, because their side lanes have been losing, so
struggling,
to speak, right? Yeah, struggling. Thank you for the proper term. Yeah, and so they're down only 3k gold, so not insurmountable, because there's still these tier 1 towers. If you get both of those down, you've kind of equaled everything out. But it's that free Fangtooth Monty that is concerning me the most. It's basically another item online for free. And they feel like any engagement that NSEU takes, they'll probably win it, and maybe they'll be taking one now in the river. Penguin goes for the Rip Flash. Will not find the target this time, but they have to be careful with the Warden on the loose.
Speaking of a free item online, just again, going back to the off lane, going back to the Shinbi and the Wukong, Shinbi has 3 full items. Wukong has 2 full items. That's a free item, all because of the Ion, giving a 4,000 gold advantage the way of Bondrewd in that off lane. So this Mini Prime, not even paying dividends quite yet, hasn't even been able to take this tier 1 tower. And Bond, not even super worried, is going to get caught, not lazy backing per se, but just get caught backing there in a strange spot. M is just going to be a little annoying and stop the cycle breaker.
Anything you can do to mess up the tempo of the pop star, you will try and do it. The team's looking to just farm up a little bit more. The only winning lane, right? 2,000 the way of Meyer in this. Now has the Orion online. We'll see if that's more damage going his way. Import saying, I can dish it out too, folks. And he is rumbling his way to victory. The support too squishy. Has some magical armor, but not enough against the physical.
There's just so much damage variation coming out from Nightshade EU. They're just able to shred through. It doesn't matter what the side of Veni Vens buys, because if you build physical armor, they've got enough magical armor to cut, or magical damage to cut through it, and vice versa. And as a result of this just oppressive kind of snowball that's happening right now with Nightshade, they are going to claim the Shaper. That is going to be the Seedlings providing passive pressure, and they're going to be looking to leverage this map pressure across the entire 3 lanes to get a fight here and claim the Orb Prime for themselves. The teams, they're converging.
They're about to lock horns. Who will be the primary target? Meyer forced to blink and has no other escape tools but to hit the ricochet, and they will do that, but this Shinbi is hunting for more. The on-kill unleashed and the shutdown gathered from Bondrewd, the offlaner, making an impact in this Penguin. The blink, the Rip Flash, the miss. You feel like if he reeled in a big one, could have been huge. The GTFO just for some extra damage, but that should be the Mini Prime, the Nightshade.
I mean, Golem's gift makes it so that Bondrewd does not feel afraid to step up onto Meyer, despite Meyer's advantage in this game, coming out of the laning phase, being far ahead of ManQ. Ben trying to pick a fight here, is going to get skewered, but challenges Penguin to a fight.
They can't get around this Warden, man. Oh, the Richter just too beefy. Oh, the lob shot won't hit, but the line tempo will. Bondrewd has reached raid boss status, 4 items online, and Veni Vens desperately try to get onto this Mini Prime pit. They cannot. A big shutdown, though, goes the way of Septic, but can he live to tell the tale? Absolutely not. Kante, the only one to write in the journals of history, but not for long.
Not for long at all. That is going to be an Orb Prime going the way of Nightshade EU. They already have the Seedlings providing passive pressure to the duo and off lane, and this is honestly a green light to get the 4th Fang of the game, which is going to be that Primal Fang, which is going to empower all, well, I am expecting them to wait the 14 seconds. I don't even think they can kill it before Neth comes alive. So that's going to be Primal Blaze onto 5 heroes for Nightshade EU. And they are definitively in control of this game, even though the scoreboard would say otherwise, or at least not suggest the lead is as big as it is. But it is about a 6K lead, probably more than that at this point, in favor of Nightshade EU. They have the double bubble buff now online, at least on 4 of them. This is their game to lose right now. They have all the tempo, and especially since Bonjour joined the game, this Ion Eternal just insane. Just give it, like, he just shows up and he just has an entire item more than anybody else. It's just so difficult to deal with from the side of many Vens, despite the fact that Meyer was emphatically having an incredible game, and he still is. He's still very, very strong, but the rest of his team is struggling to find their footing right now.
Like, anytime I look at Bondrewd, he's got a new item. This time, it's the Oak Crown. That's always going to be pumping the damage. But I want to talk about the win conditions for Veni Vens. I mean, I haven't seen what their strategy fully is. It can't just be like, rely on Meyer to carry us. There has to be some way they want to engage, or what lane they're trying to prioritize. And trying to do the work to create this off-lane pressure, but hasn't found it. Bond just too strong against the Monkey.
I mean, he's definitely too strong right now. Not only does he have the full item advantage or more, he also has the double bubble buff. Conte is going to jump in, try to make something happen. Same with Ven, but they are just getting melted down from this. Conte forced to back up with 10% HP. Not even the GTFO is going to come out, but Ven is going to eat it. But it doesn't matter, because that is going to be 2 inhibitors falling for the side of Nightshade here. Well, in favor of the side of Nightshade.
And that was a 4-1 split push or siege onto the base, and now they're sieging the core 1. Final defense for the side of Veni Vens, and it will start with a pick onto Penguin. That's massive to get the ward in the front line out of the game, but Bondrewd is the tankiest member on the field. Conte has been obliterated, but the Neural Genesis will put him back in the fight. We need you, Queen of Roses, to dive back in. The smash and grab will yoink one in the blink to get him out, however, but Bondrewd, rampant in the back line, has eliminated Meyer. That's a huge amount of damage and healing off the board. Just the core remaining now. A new wave of minions to crash on through. The alarms are swinging left and right. Ben goes for the Warlord's challenge, but get knocked out of it. Neff to get the kill. Neff to win everything, and it is Nightshade who cleaned it up. It's an RGSH at the core, and game 2 goes the way of Nightshade EU.
Game 2 emphatically goes the way of Nightshade EU. They are going to take that fight. They're going to get an ace, and they are going to destroy that core and take this series 2-0 in a convincing manner. I mean, 2 of the best teams going at it head-to-head, and Nightshade EU made it look like child's play in that second game. I mean, that was...
So Rena come back into play, then that might be something that's going to be forfeited. But the Gideon here coming out to round out a comp for Hope. And honestly, I'm kind of loving Hope's comp. It's a lot of big circles, really easy to execute. They have a good 4-man fight.
Yeah, the last 3 picks from the side of Hope have been really good. To steal you and Gideon really come over together, gives a lot of synergy to those ultimates. So saying that, I mean, I still am questioning the Wukong pick early. I think that you just kind of give the Symbi away to Bondrewd. You know that you're going to have that matchup. Bondrewd's already played it once today, so Nightshade EU are going to be comfortable on that. My big question mark around Nightshade's comp is that Grux. I don't think this is what they wanted to go for. I feel like this is kind of a... We kind of need a bruiser, we kind of need some sort of front line. So I think Grux is really the only kind of option we have left. Let's just pick that up. That's what that last pick feels like to me. But saying all that, I mean, FaZe Grim. Neff doing Neff things, Penguin doing Penguin things. I am still terrified of that duo lane. I think Hope kind of let that one go for free. So they need to have some sort of plan inside the game to deal with it.
Definitely still see the Shinbi in the jungle as well, and the Grux can also be piloting the offlane. So definitely some matchups there that can be going throughout, but it's going to come down to the actual Sanctuary. So Philly, Shadow, game number 1.
Welcome in, predecessor people. This is the upper bracket finals. The winner of this best of 3 series will book their ticket to the Grands and potentially get themselves that chunk of $14,000, Doc. We've got Nightshade EU versus Team Hope. Nightshade, they've got the Shinbi. That's probably going to go on Bondrewd in the offlane with that Ion. We know how detrimental that can be.
Nightshade not only has the Shinbi with the Ion, but they have the momentum after coming out of what could have been, or should have been, or will be, who knows, the grand final match but with Venivens. They're definitely feeling themselves. They are hitting all the right moves, feeling themselves, moving, all the cylinders are pumping. But Hope can't be understated. Hope is definitely one of those teams I was looking forward to watching in this tournament. They have some really skilled players, and same with what Six said on the desk. They have a pretty easy to execute, well, all things considered, pretty easy to execute composition with lots of really big circles, big abilities. They're going to be looking to be successful in a lot of these team engagements. But the kind of X factor question mark for me is Varant on this Wukong, who's clearly going to be looking to scale with the Zyrus, but I don't know how that fits in with what their strategy is.
Hopefully he provides the burst, right? Once everyone is like sucked up into the vacuum of the Soul Storm and locked in with the Shield Slam, then he just rises from on high and just impacts. I love that Victoria skin there, though, from the team of Nightshade, highlighting the bundles that you too can also purchase. Make sure you get those Quantum Cores by linking your account as well. Rickster in the mid lane. I know they played a Zinx a couple times, Doc. Hopefully we get to see that throughout the series, but we'll be piloting the Gideon here for now. Rena, the Yggdrasil. I mean, that's been an EU special we've seen.
It has been, and it's actually super exciting to see, paired with the Minor Blessing that gives additional physical penetration and magical penetration per tier 3 item. So that also enables ManQ to really focus on building power and or ability haste, depending on kind of what he's feeling. So he doesn't feel like he has to buy a Caustica per se if he doesn't necessarily want to or feel like he needs one. It just opens the possibilities there, and it adds that survivability layer. Because again, when you think of a mid lane mage, you think of someone who you can blow up really, really easily. You can send them back to base in a matter of 2 or 3 seconds, and Yggdrasil mitigates that from happening and allows Rena to really just persist in the battlefield, being an absolute menace.
And it helps with those mid lane trades. Normally she's a scaling mage, she just wants to kind of sit back, get her soul essences online, but with the Yggdrasil and her augment that gives her the shield on Soulfire, she could just step up and actually take these trades more willingly. And so I like this adjustment in the way that people are being creative with the Eternals. That's the whole point, right, Doc? It's like, how can we mix and match and replay the game in so many different ways? Andrew saying there's only one way for me to play it, and that's to be the shifty, shoofy person known as Shimby, who's winning these trades outright against the Ure, and Zayra running the Ion Eternal on the Assassin. That's not something we've seen before.
No, but Zayra must be under the same impression as I am, which is if you can't beat them, join them. And we've seen time after time after time after time Shinbi with the Ion in the offlane with 1,000 gold, 2,000 gold, 3,000 gold, 4,000 gold over their counterpart at the 10, 15 or so minute mark, which is an entire item at certain points in the game, if not more. And so Zayra opting to kind of explore with something, as you mentioned, we've not seen yet. So he should be able to, I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense on paper, right? The Ure has a lot of spells, has a lot of little things, you know, just tossing the little shuriken kunai out. Just that alone will be adding to the gold getting pumped into Zayra's pocket, similar to the line tempo on the Shinbi. So it kind of makes sense, but I do have to give the edge to Bondrewd just because of the inherent ability to clear minions and, you know, just apply wave pressure.
Good tank ability from the Shinbi with the circle rhythm. We'll see if that's how they decide to level as we move forward in this match. But yeah, the Ion also provides some mana regen, Doc, which oftentimes Mindrazor is on the board for Ures in the offlane just to kind of keep up with the clear and end their mana issues. So the Ion also helps in that regard too. So there's a lot of different ways that the Eternal combination does work. But this Neft Penguin, we've highlighted, the desk highlighted it, the world has highlighted it. It is so damn strong, but Samwise, a really good support here, going with the adaptive shields, so he can have 2 down along the map and try to block some of those lances and get some pressure back on their side. They need the farm.
It's a great option for dealing with this phase. You are able to kind of effectively stop one of the energy lances, and then you're able to also provide that, you know, having that second charge of the shield allows you to keep your carry safe if another rotation comes out from, let's say, ManQ or from somebody else. It just allows you to protect him that much more. It also gives you more angles, so you can kind of manipulate the area around a fight. and move around the battlefield without getting locked in place and allowing Neff to just beat you down. But that is going to be both seedlings spawning and both seedlings falling very quickly. One goes the way of Hope, one goes the way of Nightshade here. Very, very even trades across the map right now. Economically speaking, super equal. And actually, just want to quickly call out that the Ion Ure is actually slightly ahead of the Shinbi by about 200 gold. I think that's so worth mentioning because at this point in the last game with Nightshade EU, he was like 1,000 gold ahead of his counterpart.
Yeah. So one, it's tougher to hit the Ure with your abilities, so you're not getting the gold coming from it, right? And then the Ure can kind of poke you with the kunais and the severances and stuff and just kind of run around and get that ability damage in. Well, characters we haven't talked about yet are the junglers, though, Doc. And Import, he's making his presence felt. He's diving into the mid lane, goes for the smash and grab.
Just a little
not
off.
Find the mark. Yeah, it was just a little off the side there. But he's gone for the Exarch, and that's one we've seen on the Boris in the jungle. Now we're seeing it on the Rhino himself.
Yeah, the Eternal picks definitely show two different philosophies behind these junglers and how they want to play the game. On one hand, you have the Xyrus on the Wukong. He wants to scale. He wants to get strong and progress through the game. On the other hand, you have the Exarch on Import with this Grux. He just wants to fight, end the game, apply early and mid-game pressure, and just over-oppress and out-aggress Team Hope. And it just shows. The Eternals just clearly very different play styles. Across the map, though, very equal, all things considered. Again, they've traded the seedlings, but no big objectives have been taken or looked at quite yet. But we're getting to that critical mass now where there is going to be the opportunity to potentially trade Mini Prime for the Fangtooth should Team Hope opt to do that. But it's going to be a hot second here because there has to be a window for someone somewhere.
Ooh, the Soul Storm will get the first blood. It's a whirlwind of crimson in the offlane. Zayru doing the work.
Zayru, maybe he's cooking a little bit here with the Ion. Okay, take notes, other teams. Maybe there's an answer to this after all. And again, if you can't beat them, join them. That is something I was not expecting to see in this game. And paying huge dividends for him. He now has his Mind Razor online. And that is going to be a very, very good early game for this Ure. It's a matter of transitioning that. But all things considered, we're at that point now where the trade of objectives is going to be happening because Hope is opting for that. That's going to be the first Fang going the way of Nightshade EU, but on the flip side, that's going to be a Mini Prime going the way of somebody still to be determined. Most likely this Ure to continue allowing him to take the game away from Bondru.
Nope. Will go on to the monkey instead. I wonder if he looks like he has the red buff.
It was the red buff. No,
red buff.
It was 100% the red buff. He had 5 the Mini Prime had 5 HP and the tick killed him.
Disaster. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but like we talked about it in the last series where the red buff does some sneaky damage there and could actually steal away the Mini Prime. So let's see what Varant will do. I mean, this is so, I don't want to say uncharacteristic for Varant, but they're usually a very aggressive jungler. They want to get active early, and now that he's just kind of going for this farming Wukong, just really getting up the stacks and the Demiurge, etc., it's just interesting to see that shift in mentality from him. Whereas Import, as you mentioned, is that early to mid-game assurance where the other three lane stock, you feel like are scaling. They're just going to bide their time, get their essences, get their items, whatever it might be, and then feel like they win one fight and win the game. But Import trying to make the other side feel uncomfortable.
And it's tough, right? Import, there's not much he can do against this Gideon in the mid lane. Gideon is going to have some pressure applied to him, but he is able to just torn space away. But on the flip side of the map there, Bondrewd is going to take a solo bolo against Zayra, reclaiming that off-lane supremacy. It could have been so much better if Zayru was able to get that Mini Prime.
Doc, yeah, I think that would have helped because fighting into that minion wave, that's a lot of damage to go up against. And now Shinbi, feel like they have the upper hand. Varant using some extra damage to help his mid laner find some return frags on the other side. This is going to be a challenging way for Varant to make his way into this one. But we're looking at the offlane. There is a Mind Razor picked up from Zayru and a Time Warp from Bondrewd. So that is going to be extra gold in the pocket of the Shinbi, the pop star, getting every paycheck available.
The Time Warp, just notorious for being just peanut butter and jelly with the Ion Eternal. Just so much good value, which does give a slight edge to Shinbi in this matchup because, you know, if you're a, you don't really want a Time Warp. That's not going to do too much for you. But the Mind Razor does give 15 ability haste, which is still very, very strong at this point. So he's not going to fall too far behind, but that one kill, that could be enough to give Bond the tempo where he feels enough confidence to be able to step up and start beating Zera with his own line tempo.
And he's taking the trades, and all stacks are available for the all kill should they decide to use it. Now it's the Soul Storm, but the Circle Rhythm shielding is so good at this moment, and no ultimate needed. Bond Druid takes the single dingle again.
Bond Druid, just so much confidence in that exchange, and Zera just a little off with some of his abilities. Varant looking to just get something here. The Cycle Breaker is going to connect, but Bond Druid has so much mana and the backup from Import to boot.
Oh no, now all the escapability tools have been expended, and so will the life of Varant. It's disaster in the off lane.
Such small mistakes are made to be just giant advantages for Nightshade EU. Just very small misclicks, very small, just utilizing your escape mechanics to not even be able to get away. And Nightshade is going to make them pay huge dividends there in that exchange. Bond Druid now officially the raid boss of this game one in the best of three, Nightshade against Hope. And we haven't even talked about the duo lane because it's just been almost a stalemate over here. Just a slight net worth advantage going the way of Neft, but overall, it's really very much, I mean, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 across the board, and the net worth very close, like not even really worth talking about. Honestly, it's just Samwise and Phoenix, first of all, holding their own against arguably the best duo lane currently in the EU region.
Yeah, and that's just they're playing more defensively because they're trying to get first of all, to the item mark so he can match against this scrim. So that's all right. Let's just play defensively. We know we're going to get pushed in under our tower, but we'll find the last hits where we can and then go from there. And so not too much to talk about in that duo lane, but I'm sure if something happens, our Observer Tedium will capture all the action for you as the next Fangtooth, the second of the game, is about to arrive.
Both Varant and Import are nearby. They're going to be looking to secure an advantage heading into this objective. Do want to call out the Manta Scythe on Varant. He does have that kind of sustain, which allows him to keep equal with Import and his ability to sustain with double pain in that jungle against those minions. So they're just posturing against one another, trying to poke, prod, and just create a window for their teams to rotate from both the duo lane and the mid lane as this Fangtooth has just spawned.
Doc, I love the Gravitum pickup from Import. Just zap the Gideon out of the sky, or Varant, or Zayru. There's so many people you can yoink to the ground, and Import, one of the best to ever do it. You know he doesn't miss often. Varant doing what monkeys do, just playing around with his food and just let them know that they're around. These teams are gearing up. No Abyssal Rift for the side of the Rena. Import may be caught out here. Has to blink, but he knows he has the shortened cooldown. Now the Abyssal Rift unleashed. He got it just in time, and that was a black hole opened and closed, and so too is the soul of Rickster. He's back to the gray screen.
Rickster gets pulled down by that Gravitum that you happen to mention, but meanwhile, over in the duo lane, that's a 2v2 going the way of Phoenix. First of all, they're able to take out Neft and Penguin, and that is actually a green light for the side of Hope to start this second Fang of the game. But NSEU, they're not willing to give this away for free. Man Q going in.
Steps up, has the Interstitial at their back. Can they get the final damage onto the Dinosaur? Maybe this is Import. Goes in, tries for the steal, but gets locked in place, put in handcuffs, and set 6 feet under. A good attempt there from the jungler, but Hope with some life in this. A blink forced out of Mancu, but Bond is here. It's the raid boss who's looking to clean up the kills. The all kill not fully stacked. Now it is Samwise is the one where the wolf pack will hunt, and they'll find their quarry.
Oh no, I was going to say, as soon as Shinbi shows up, run away, run, get to safety, get to the hills. Bond Druid, just the raid boss. He does show up just a little bit late there. Overall, great exchange for Team Hope there. At first, things were looking dire for them, but Samwise and Phoenix, first of all, they take the duo win in that engagement, which allows that door to be open for that objective, and now equal Fang Teeth. In fact, I think this is something we didn't even see in the last series. So Hope coming out of the gate swinging emphatically. They have a statement that they want to make. They want to at least take game 1 here in this game against the previous champions wearing their Victoria skins. But on the flip side, over in the duo lane, that is going to be a tower, tier 1 tower, going the way of Penguin and Neft. So that is a slight gold injection, which could spell disaster as these mistakes pile up.
Scuffles in the river for now. Import just kind of getting that river bug where he can so he can farm a bit faster. The Des talked about it. We talked about it a little bit in our pre-show, is that the circles, right? The ultimate execution for Team Hope. They need to go to those engagements, be in the position to layer their ultimates and find the win. And they did that. Now Zeru might be expending their life. The Warlord's Challenge will lock the Glaskira Shinzo down, and that will be another one slain at the might of Import, but a clapback immediate from the side of Team Hope. They light the beacons for the reinforcements to arrive. Rickster will be tossing some rocks and pebbles just to force the team away, but the Mini Prime, the real target.
NSEU, they are making the call to start this objective. Import, he wants it for himself, unless he can give it to somebody, but there's nobody in the pit for him to give it to. He's going to go ahead and take it for himself, lock it down, give it to NSEU, and now that is Import's opportunity to start applying pressure on the map. Meanwhile, Neft left over here to fend for himself against Phoenix, first of all, who is going to equalize that tower gap, which does give a little gold injection going the way of Hope. So all things considered, things are not spiraling too far out of control, but this Bondrude Shinbi is the raid boss. Like, the answers to this Shinbi are few and far between. They have to have Samwise around to lock that Shinbi in place and keep her from moving around like the menace that she is.
Doc, there's only one answer, and it's ban the Shinbi. Like, you can't allow this character to play right now. Samwise with the Chrysalius, I mean, that's some good magical armor, but with the penetration from Manq and the diamond tip of Yggdrasil, the Caustica now online for Bomb Druid, I feel like that's just Swiss cheese that he just put onto himself, but we'll see if the steel can stand all. Gold lead, only about 2,000 for the side of Nightshade EU, but as we mentioned, methodical in their ways to victory. They just chokehold you until there's no life left, and Bondruid just pestering his opposite number. He's going all the way under the tower for the dive. I mean, this guy, he just feels unstoppable.
Excuse me, can we get a cooldown on that line tempo, please? He's like, what am I watching right now? That is just insanity. But Bondruid, Grant is going to come in, try to apply a little pressure to keep off the tier 1 tower that has a sliver of HP. He does effectively clear the creeps, or the minions, but Varant is going to pay with his life. He protects that tower, but at such a massive cost. That is going to be a 5-1 Bondruid Shinbi now in the offlane. And the mountain is becoming slightly steeper as the game progresses against Team Hope.
This is the pinnacle, Doc. It's a slippery slope to the top, and because they recognize Varant on the opposite side of the map, it's a free shaper where the side of Import says, thank you very much. Zeru, wait! He sacrificed everything to keep you alive. The arc shot will take both offlaners to the other side of the map, and he might just be feeding over a kill to Neft if Bondruid doesn't take it first. There you go, the GTFO for the carry to get some gold in their pocket.
Bond, just so nice, such a team player, right? He just backs off and starts recalling right in front of Zeru while he knows that Neft is getting within range to activate the GTFO. Just, I love that, and the way Zeru just stood still and said, yep, okay, I accept it. I'm dead. That was on me. But Bondruid, dude, this guy is just so strong right now. And after that takedown onto Zeru across the map, the numbers on NSEU are in that duo lane side, which opens the door for the third Fang of the game. Second Fang going the way of NSEU. They now are faster out of combat. This game is slowly, ever so slowly, creepingly slowly, getting in the way. Like Nightshade EU just taking it away inch by inch, and it's just a matter of time now. They open up the mid-tier 1 tower. This could be the emphatic turning point here in favor of NSEU.
Doc, this is what happens with macro rotations, and teams feel like they're behind, and then they just put one person out there, and then they fall, and then they're ungrouped, and then they can't regroup, and then they keep losing fights, and so they might sacrifice another member. Luckily, no ultimate online for Neft, that would have been a secure kill. First of all, however, not in a good position. Must leap out of there. He'll take the arc shot in time to get to the other side of the map. maybe not. That's a trio of people saying, beat me up, Scotty. We've got someone to take down on the other side. This might be a full-on brawl in the off lane. Shepard, the rest of the team, back into the fog wall. Bond says, wait a second, I am stronger than you. We can take this fight if we need. They might just be taking it now, Doc, in the river. I thought something was about to break out, but these teams, though, they decide to back away.
Well, Bondrewd heading before the entire side of NSEU joined that arc shot. Bondrewd was 1v2ing against Zeru and Varant in that by that 3 camp over on the by the former Tier 1 tower in the off lane. And so with first of all coming across the arc shot and bringing that engagement toward Bondrewd, it almost looked like he was about to say, "I've brought you, I don't know, attacks. Here, take my take some money from us, sir." But ultimately, Nightshade EU, they decide, hey, we're not fully healthy. We don't feel like we can just cleanly take this engagement, and they make the disciplined call to back off, disengage, reset, and get healthy to leverage their now 6K gold advantage across the map. And they're going to do just that as Phoenix, first of all, is in danger.
Yoink! Oh, but the shield slam will lock him down. A blink from Neff, but maybe not far enough. Samwise is on the chase. He's got one objective, and that's to take down the refrigerator, but he flips the script. It's Import, the hero, who turns the tides, and it's a double in a duo lane.
As I said, Phoenix, first of all, was the one in danger the whole time.
Yeah.
I was never worried for Neff there. I mean, Neff did get low up front in the beginning of that engagement, but they expended everything. All of the control from Sandwise. They did not get the kill immediately, and at that point, it was just a matter of peeling out. Import, he shows up. That's a front line for your refrigerator with the laser beam, and yeah, they just clean up that engagement so nicely. On the flip side of the map, Bondrewd just, I mean, he's causing Hope to expend so many resources just to stop this pressure that's coming in. All the meanwhile, while they're trying to stop Bondrewd's pressure, that's going to be an inhibitor falling in the duo lane after that catastrophic engagement for Phoenix, first of all. And now, Nightshade EU looking to reset, looking to further leverage this now 8.5 thousand gold lead. Again, they're just, the snowball has turned into an avalanche at this point.
Doc, I think they need you to cauterize some wounds out here, buddy. Are you certified for that kind of doctorship? Because I mean, they're just bleeding everywhere. They just lost so much after that engagement. It's really tough for Hope. I want to talk about this Monkey King though. Like, what is he supposed to be doing in these fights? You had some questions before the game started. Like, what is his role here? Hasn't been able to find any assassinations. Is only 1 and 2 so far in this game.
I don't know. I don't actually know what the point was. I was hoping to see the Wukong kind of focusing more on the duo lane, but instead he spent so much time against Bondrewd Shinbi and has fed over some unnecessary kills to the point where Shinbi is now raid boss Omega Sigma Alpha, like just absolutely crazy. The all kill is going to come out. Rickster in danger, is forced, and that's a tactical pushback here. Import though is going to fall.
He gets blown up. Phoenix, first of all, that's a triple shield slam just to cover the retreat. Samwise doing a supports duty, says, see you later, I'm going down with the ship. Rickster decides to jump back into the fray. What are you doing, pal? And decides against it. That was a big play for the side of Hope, but just not big enough. Neff is the one who turns it around.
Neft absolutely turns it around. Import owning that role as that emphatic front line for the rest of NSEU. Rickster trying to break some ankles and stuff actually ends up just falling to Penguin, and at this point it feels like he's just kind of giggling to himself like, okay, Penguin got me. The phase was capable of killing me. And that, after that catastrophic team fight for Team Hope, that is the green light to start the 4th Fang of the game. That's going to be the 3rd Fang for the side of NSEU, giving the bonuses to all offenses and defenses. And that's the primal blaze now on the Shinbi, who's still 1v2ing, 1v3ing, 1v4ing. Raid boss Bondrewd cannot be stopped at this point.
Oh my gosh, it's something you see in your nightmares. I know our statistician D-Dog is elated to see Shinbi in the meta and loves to see her every game, but I know these teams might be tired of the pop star in this moment. A lot of structural damage on these tier 2s for the side of Hope. Doc, do they have a hope to get back into this?
Well, maybe if you'd asked me about 7 minutes ago, I'd have a different answer. But this is, I mean, everything is going the way of NSEU right now. They've taken the inhibitor, they've taken the Primal Blaze, the Primal Fang, they've taken the Shaper. That is now massive pressure across the map. They've just lost Phoenix first of all, and now that's an Orb Prime. This is, I think that's the final nail.
Could be. I mean, Bondred is just taking so much space across the map. They brought 3 to try to take him down, and he still gets the carry. They don't even need the other members. You feel like Bondred could just win the game by himself at this point. Almost fully kitted out as well. 6,000 gold advantage over his opposite number. That's just how much damage this guy has been pumping out. It's just about Nightshade closing the game, and they're kind of the best team to ever do it.
12,000 gold, well, 11,000 gold. Now after that tower now, it's probably 12,000 gold lead across the map here. I mean, it's just such an insurmountable amount. And NSEU not giving any mistakes, not giving any openings for Hope. Hope played the early game so well, but things are falling apart now.
Certainly are. It's one desperate defense for the side of Hope, and they're losing members quickly. That's a great lob shot just to force them away back into the fountain, but it's a huge minion wave that is crashing towards the core. Soulstorm, it must be of epic proportions, but shot from the sky is Rickster. No black hole in this one yet again. Varant looking to collapse into the back line, but can't find anything. His assassin counterpart will do that, but the front line now dismantled for NSEU, but their primary target, the core, has been shattered, and game number 1 to Nightshade.
Game number 1 to Nightshade, and you know, they are not changing too much about their draft. They found what works against Venivens, and they've continued doing that. The Phase, the Grim. I mean, ManQ just gets to do whatever he wants to do. The Shinbi, there's just too many problems and too few bans to really deal with it, unless Hope can counter pick to like deny those opportunities from NSEU. I liked the array with the Ion. I liked the beginning of it, but it hit a certain point where there was just no competing against that Shinbi, and it all just spiraled out of control.
Back to the drawing board about how we deal with this Shinbi. Maybe Hope, they just ban the regular bans and then draft the whole thing that Nightshade is doing and see if they can outplay him in that regard. Well, we'll see, but let's send it back to Six and Falcon to break it down.
Yeah, Shadow, I think there are a lot of problems, but I think the only real big problem was the Shinbi. I feel like without the Shinbi, Hope was actually kind of playing a closer game that many thought it was going to happen, but once the Shinbi got to that point, it was just kind of, how do we stop this thing, Falcon?
I actually don't. That's the question. And that's the answer. Bondry just showing what he did basically in the previous game we saw before this, and did the exact same thing in a different matchup. There was the flex between the Duo and the Wukong, which I didn't expect, at least. I'm not sure about you. But Bondry showing that it didn't really matter, because they're still going to have the same performance, they're still going to have the same amount of gold income, and the Shinbi is just being such a force to reckon with. So Nightshade, they come up 1-0.
Come up 1-0, but let's kind of look at the first blood, because we say the Ure wasn't matching up against Shimmy, but at that first sight, I mean, it was looking a little bit different. Zera coming out, maybe trying to make a statement earlier on. Didn't really go impact with the rest of the game, but I do love kind of just the unafraidness to be able to contest behind.
Yeah, just the enhanced autos from Zeru is doing enough damage to make sure that Bondry does go low. The Soulstorm followed through, and that is the slight issue with him. You need to stack up that ultimate before you can use it. So Zeru having the burst potential where Bondry did not get the first blood, and at least it looks promising for the early game.
It did look promising because, yes, Bondred was able to start to circumvent some income with that Eon, but then there was like a little bit of hope here as they were able to contest onto the side of Hope, and just kind of thought that Hope might be able to pull off one of the biggest upsets we've seen thus far.
Yeah, this was around one of the Fangtooths, and I mean, this did look promising from the side of Hope. Nightshade EU faltering here, didn't really have the tempo of the jungler from Import. The Grux pick, again, wasn't really my favorite, wasn't the best, but hopefully we'll get it up in a little bit. Here we go now, and although one kill did go over to Nightshade EU, you'll see on just the map that the dual lanes are fighting against each other. It gets a good fight, and although Import gets a very good graviton onto Richter, does get the kill on to the Gideon. Meanwhile, on the other side, First of all and Sunwise does to get the 2v2 victory, takes down Neft immediately, Penguin followed soon after, and then they're able to transition into the Fancies, tying it up. And I believe after this clip as well, we cut it a bit early, but Import will dive in, gets the knockup, and actually we do see it slightly here. So you see the trap laid down by, first of all, the Fangtooth will fall down, and Import immediately pushed into that trap to CC to, first of all, getting the last couple of autos to get the kill. Actually, one gets the kill, and this is a good sign from Hope. They tie up the kills, they tie up the Fangtooths, and it's really only this man that is the issue.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, right, there's just, you can't really stop this problem from occurring. Everything else, Hope seemed like they were managing fairly well. But as we kind of like push on, right, we go to the big orb fight, right? This is where kind of Nightshade EU completely just blew open this map, and Sanctuary was theirs, and they were able to kind of just end up winning through this.
Yeah, it always seems to be the same time for this Orb Prime, around the 22-minute mark. Bondrude just taking out Richter away from the fight, not able to play part at all. Import that does go down, but a lot of resources from the side of Hope used to kill the Grux, and even the Samwise getting a 3-man shield slam, just not enough HP left from the side of Hope to survive. And again, Neft is basically untouched. Bondrude running around the entire background. Do you see the HP bars of Nightshade EU in that clip are basically untouched? And I mean, after that, they don't go for the Orb Prime because obviously Import is dead. They just continue pushing down. Soon after, they take those neutrals and finish the game within, 25 minutes.
They finish this game indeed within 25 minutes, but Hope, I still have a little bit of hope for you here, because you guys played pretty well considering all the factors. I think now when we get into picks and bans, we kind of realize some of the issues throughout some of those clips, seeing like where Hope can improve to really battle against Nightshade. And I think the biggest thing, like I said in the first kind of sentence, is we got to get rid of that Shimby. So heading into these picks and bans phase here, I'm looking for a Shimby ban or possibly a phase ban to kind of try and thwart out too much that goes on for the side of Nightshade.
Immediately the face ban that is going to be removed. Every team learning their lesson after the first game. Hope also the first pick, so that has been changed compared to this, so Hope will be able to at least pick something away. The question mark, is this going to be Simbi? Because Nightshade EU, you got to remember, this has been a counter pick for the Simbi. They've never really picked it first, they've never picked it blind, they've been waiting to see who is going to be in that offlane first, and then picked up the Simbi, so it might not be as interesting. That's not what I was expecting. I'm not sure about you, F6 there.
No, I mean, it's always a possibility. I never threw it out completely, but definitely not what we were expecting 100%. So Shimby not going to be able to be played by either side. So maybe the little bit of viability of the Wukong starts to come into play here, and that is what Hope is thinking. Shimby's out of the way. Get me the Wukong.
Yeah, but Adele is left untouched. Hope not first picking it away. Nightshade EU have to go for this. I don't know if it's going to be on Penguin, if it's going to be on Bondrude. Most likely will be Bondrude. Saying this all now is probably not going to be picked whatsoever, but that is something we have to expect. And there it is. For once a pick that we think is going to come through, it does come through. 95.6% contention rate, not the highest win rate, only 58%, but just such a strong laner, such a strong tank as well, has basically everything you would want from a hero in that front line. We'll have to see where that goes through, and I mean, it's worked the first 3 times, why not pick it for the 4th time? Grim locked in for Neft.
Without the phase though, like you said before, we saw with the Richter though, that was still able to be viable, but like you said, the Adele, a lot of CC, a lot of flexibility, so she is a dangerous pick. Nightshade EU still has not shown their hand. Meanwhile, Hope need to kind of show their hand a little bit within their first 3. I'm looking forward to maybe possibly picking up the Rena, but the Mako is on board. That was previously banned out in game number 1. Now this is an aggressive support, not necessarily tanky, but kind of helps your jungler out a lot with a lot of the mobility that comes through his passive.
Yeah, I really like this pick. It gives you a lot of rotation as well. It's going to help the mid lane. It is also a pick away from Penguin. At this point in time, I suspect that Penguin probably is going to go for the Richter. The Murdoch is also locked in, not going to be banned away. I think this is just a fine pick. First of all, did decently in that game number 1. So this is a strong duo side on the side of Hope. Nightshade EU. Realistically, I think this is going to be a Richter pickup. It could also be a Renner if they want to make sure that they have that mid lane secured before the bans come through. But instead, we're going to get a Muriel. This is not something I was really expecting. I don't think this is the most ideal pick. Reversal Fortune is strong, yes, but you don't really have the strongest offlaner to go aggressive with, or with the Adele. So have to see. I think Penguin is still going to be fine on this. It gives a bit more aggression in lane as well.
Maybe they'd be able to pick somebody else up. Maybe the Grux, maybe the Zarus might be a possibility still here, but we're in the ban phase. Now, Rampage being taken off the board for Nightshade EU. They do not want Hope to have that at all. But when it comes down to Hope, where are you going to look here? You're looking at possibly weeding out the junglers, right? You still have the Ure, you still have the Kalari that's up. That's been a presence inside a lot of these drafts in the EU scene. So that's a possibility, but also taking out the Rena, right? The Rena is still one of those kind of viable picks that we know Manq likes to play, or the Howitzer.
The Zinx ban instead is rather interesting. This is obviously a Zinx mid ban. Rickster's the one who plays this. I don't think Manq has really touched it that much. You would normally expect that when a ban, maybe the Howitzer ban as well. It don't look like they want to ban the junglers away. I mean, this Wukong can go in the jungle again. Want did a pilot it in that game number 1, but with this to be banned away, you would expect it in the off lane instead into that Adele matchup. The winner is going to be actually banned away from Nightshade instead, so a little bit of a swap around. I don't really know what the teams are doing here, banning away their own heroes, but here we are. Why not? The 4th ban is still waiting through. UA is available to be banned away, and it's going to instead be the Neon. So a lot of targeted bans towards that mid lane. Howitzer, Gideon are still available. You also got a Gadget, the Fae. There is quite a few power picks if either team wants to go for it. Right now, though, Nightshade, they have the jungler, they have their mid to pick up. We'll have to see which one they want first.
I'll have to see for sure. But I am liking, these are very strong picks. The Ure being picked up. There it is. We've seen a Manta Scythe on Ure through import in game number 1 versus Team Fenny Vens. So definitely know he's comfortable on this pick. But Hope, how do you answer back here, right? You got to look at somebody able to maybe silence the Ure. Bellica is also still good. Still provides you a lot of burst. Not going to give you too much on the mobility aspect of it. But at the same time, you want to maybe look at what's going to help round out your team comp. I'm also looking for a big body for the side of Team Hope.
Aurora is banned. I mean, Zarus is available if you want to go for that. You can also just match Assassin with Assassin, but instead it is going to be that engagement tool with that Colosseum. I think this is probably the safest jungle pick you could go. Now you just need to link it up with something else. You've got a Gadget available, you've got a Gideon available. Those are probably the big 2 pickups from the side of Hope. Obviously, Richter did play the Gideon last game. That would line up pretty well. It also gives you a lot of safety against the UA if Importer does want to start camping in the mid lane. We'll have to give it a few more seconds until we do find out, though.
I'm looking for also somebody maybe like a big body here that's able to kind of flex throughout, right? I mean, at the same time, you can also potentially just do one of those picks that just you don't even realize, right? For the side of Nightshade EU, I mean, they still got to pick up somebody that's really aggressive for the mid. Maybe they're the ones who pick up the Gadget right after Hope picks next. But I mean, it's one of those things of how do you mitigate this combo? And they're going to choose with the Gideon here, which I really like from Hope, because you can still get I lock you into a cage. We're going to have a big AoE above you. But at the same time, Nightshade EU can't pick the Gideon to kind of leave out of that Coliseum.
Yeah, I expect Nightshade EU to just pick up the Howitzer here. It makes most sense. It's probably what Manq has played the most with what's left. And Gideon is, as I said, expected on this front. It has a lot of ultimate synergy with Zarus, as well as the Cade, the Mako Sparkle, and the ultimate from Mako as well. So overall, we're pretty rounded composition from the side of Hope, with that split potential as well in the off lane. And there is the Howitzer. So no surprises in the mid lane for us. It's going to be rather a farm fest if there's no jungle intervention. But with how Import and with how the Wands are playing, I suspect there's going to be quite a few 2v2s in that area.
Got a few 2v2s indeed. But you know what? We have 2 people that's going to be able to take this one away. It's going to be Philly Shadow, game number 2. Oh, we're back on screen.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello.
Hi. We're trying to leave. Bye. Bye.
I don't know, but we are having some technical issues, but it's okay. It's going to swap out eventually.
There we go. Thank you, fellas. It's like a quick lift the curtain swap here. It's HD Philly B. It's Dr. Shadow, and the spot in the grand finals on the line. NSEU in firm position to get there to the summit of the mountain dock. Team Hope, though, they've got a chance in this.
NSEU looking like, I mean, they have all the cards figured out. They have their play style just down to a T. As I said at the intro to game one, they're firing on all cylinders, and that momentum is continuing. But Hope, they showed some really promising signs of life in game one. Obviously, the game did not end the way you would want if you were a Hope fan, but they really they were cooking some stuff. You know, the Ion Ure was kind of holding its own for the first 10 minutes or so against Spawn Druid. What really hurt, I think, was the Wukong in their draft. You asked me, what is the purpose or the job of this Wukong? And my answer, I don't know, man. Like, sure, they had a vision for it, and I just did not see any way for that Wukong to kind of fit in. At least in this game, we're going to most likely see it in the off lane. And at least from the off lane, you can make the argument like, hey, this guy's going to just be split pushing. He's going to be baiting resources around, forcing Nightshade EU to kind of always commit something over into that side of the map. But from the jungle, it's just tough.
Really tough indeed. How do you get those ganks online? I'm seeing like a full-on kind of dive composition from Team Hope. They just want to dogpile onto somebody. Everybody jump on a character or two, and let's see if we can burst them down. And Neft will be the primary target for him. Can Penguin on the Muriel keep them alive, right? The Consecrated Ground does some healing over time, does some extra attack speed, gets some Alacrity shielding in, but if 5 members are jumping on one character, hard for that Muriel to do a whole ton of damage. On the flip side, though, I want to talk about that Muriel with the Reversal of Fortune. Is there a potential dive target? I'm thinking like this Adele in the offlane potential.
There's always the opportunity to be able to reverse the fortune of somebody on the opposite side of the map, whether it's ManQ, whether it's Import, whether it's Bond. I think that's going to be something we're watching for, because we saw Muriel earlier today in the first set. It was being played by Venivens, and it was relatively unimpactful. When we look at the stats, Muriel only has a 30% win rate, has been picked about 10 times. Not super effective in these games. And especially in this game, going up against Samwise, who's known for his Mako support, I gotta say, I give the edge to the duo lane of Team Hope in this game. I mean, they were clearly doing amazing work in game one. They showed signs of hope signs of hope. They showed signs of life by taking out Neft and Penguin early on for that first Fangtooth engagement. So there's, I think there's a lot of opportunity here.
We know they have the potential to go toe-to-toe. It's about, can they keep up on a macro game level? And that is where NSEU just picks teams apart. We saw that at the end of game one. They were just kind of dominoing their bodies in Team Hope just to try to save structures, and then they find themselves behind on their timing, and that plays right into the hand of Nightshade. So we'll see if there's some more team coordination for Hope this time as we get into game number 2. We're taking a look at Import on the Ure. He's going for the Demi-Urge again, Doc. We've seen this build from him before.
Yeah, game one of the last series. Import, it was the Import show on this Ure with his Manta Scythe early on. The ability to get onto objectives without losing, significant amounts of HP really made the difference in terms of being able to step up and fight in those objective pits. And I love that coming out from him, because Manta Scythe is an item that we don't see very often. He also paired it with some other really I don't want to say rare items, but items we don't really talk about too much, like the Infernum, like the Perforator. But he just becomes that just burst assassin, the thing that you want your Ure to do. But I just really like how he embraces his role as the jungler, being able to get on those objectives to fight.
Speaking of fighting, Zeru trying to do some damage against Bondru, but losing out in that trade. The Adele, incredibly tanky. Speaking of tanks as well, Doc, Varant leaning into being kind of the frontline presence for his team. Lex for the Yggdrasil blessing onto the Xeris there. Needs to bulk up for some of these fights.
He has to, because the only other option is that Wukong Monkey King. And as you asked, usually, what is the role? And that is not Monkey King's role. So I'm glad to see Varant taking ownership of that. I'm curious to see how he decides to itemize to fulfill this role. I know we've seen some games and some scrimmages with him where he has a role to fulfill and he itemizes in a very strange manner. So I think it's really going to come down to that, and whether or not he's successfully able to survive and eat some of the damage that enables the rest of his team to do what they want to do if they're able to get, as you said, onto a priority backline target like Neft.
There's a lot of damage to itemize against, right? Neft having the mix of physical and magical. Then you have Bondrewd who can do true damage. So there's just like, how do I build HP? Do I build armors? What do I even do? So very tricky for Varant on this Zarus to itemize effectively. And that's where your years of experience, your coaching, your VOD reviews can help you through some of those situations. The seedlings will spawn around that 4-minute mark. I think that's where we'll see some more actions as we view here the mid lane. I mean, this is a tried and true matchup of the Howitzer and the Gideon.
Yeah, the Gideon Howitzer. I mean, it's a time as old as or it's a tale as old as time itself. Sorry, that's a tongue twister. I'm getting twisted and my tongue. But it is a very comfortable and familiar matchup for both sides of the equation, especially with the somewhat recent changes to Gideon that allows him to root the Howitzer in place. It does improve that matchup for the Gideon side of things just a little bit more. But I mean, it's ManQ's #1 hero, so he's very much in a comfort role right now. And comfort, it speaks a lot more loudly than variety in your hero selection. And as you mentioned, 4 minutes has come. It is 4:05 now, and now the seedlings are up. Both junglers looking to secure their objectives.
Yeah, a little bit of commotion in the mid lane there, and it looks like it'll be a handshake of you get that one, I'll get this one. And we'll just be on our merry way. Bondrewd and Zayru continue to fight in this offlane. Bondrewd with 3 vitality beads to start. He just wants to bulk up because he scales with that extra HP. Cycle Breaker to lock him down. The high impact to do some damage. The Force Push to also move him away. Hit Mesmerize on that one because they picked up the augment. So a good trade, however, but it looks like the Monkey King came out on top.
Monkey King, I don't know. Bondrewd does get to freeze the minions there near his tier 1 tower, so it is kind of favorable to him. But as you said, there was a slight net worth advantage in the favor of Zayru, but I think because of that, having to thin that minion wave down and freeze it, he kind of equalized the playing field there. Bondrewd, though, I mean, there is. I'm looking at the items or the tools in the Hope toolbox right now in terms of dealing with a tank. And the only thing I'm seeing right now is the Vesh on that Gideon. There's not really a great answer unless Phoenix, first of all, itemizes to deal percent-based damage to tanks. Otherwise, I think Bond is just going to be able to play the game for free. I'm a little bit concerned the later this game goes for Hope.
And Zayru can build physical pen, right? That's what the Monkey King can itemize that way. We'll see if that is his job in this, is to keep the Bondrewd at bay. I don't know. I just don't like that matchup for the Monkey King against the Adele. So this is one to watch, and I feel like I haven't seen Bond on this character before, so I am hyped to watch how they excel and how Zayru matches up against this offlaner. They're fighting over the Cyan buff. Now we'll see if it goes one way or another. Looks like Bond will snag that one.
Well, if Zayru wants to keep Bond out of the game, I mean, mission will be accomplished inevitably, because you cannot ignore a Monkey King over in that off lane. So somebody at all times is going to be having to respond to Zayru's just mere existence on this map, and that is the power of the Monkey King. But again, in the off lane, it makes sense. In the jungle, it's a little bit more complex in terms of trying to understand what these teams' vision for it. An invade, though, coming out from Nightshade EU onto this 2 camp here.
They love it. The experience camp, as it's known, just gives so much XP for your squad. ManQ just using the Make It Rain more for escape and to make sure that nobody decides to step up in the lane. They'll sacrifice the ultimate to get import even further ahead. Now with the Coliseum online for Varant, I'm expecting him to get a little bit active. We'll go to the red camp first, make sure he gets more damage. That Fangtooth has arrived, the mini prime as well, Doc. So it's time, you feel, for these teams to go at it.
Oh yeah, it is tradesy time for sure. We saw this basically at the 7-minute mark in game 1. The teams were at this point already immediately on both of the objectives, saying, okay, you get that one, I get this one. But in this game, it is looking like the teams are playing it a little bit more patient, a little bit more methodical. But you can see that over in the duo lane, the Neft Grim duo, they're intentionally not stepping up until they know where the Zarus is, because they know that Zarus is level 6. They know that he's going to be looking to get a Coliseum onto either one or both of them. So they're intentionally letting Samwise and Phoenix, first of all, really apply passive pressure into them just a little bit. That way they're not in a bad spot. But Monkey King looking at the mini prime right now.
Just scouting it out. He's got great mobility. Plops a ward down there, says, hey, how are you? And Doc, I love the vision that you have for these teams to manipulate the wave, because it's not just about, okay, can I last hit? It's like, how fast should I clear it? When do I clear it? And
here comes Zarus.
The HP bar of Penguin being cleared. Yes, Varant is on the case, and no, he left his carry out to try the reversal of fortune, but it doesn't matter. The Coliseum dropped, but just a touch too late. Looks like Import is joining the party now, but has also arrived at not the opportune time, and Long Over the Long will cut through the battlefield, but they get what they came for. The carry is dead.
Oh man, the hunger, the greed from Neft and Penguin wanting to contest that gold buff, forcing them to step up. They did such a good, disciplined job staying back, allowing Samwise and, first of all, to pressure into them, not stepping up, putting themselves in a position to get Coliseum by the Zarus. But that greed to contest that gold buff put them into that terrible, terrible spot, and that is going to be a first blood going the way of Team Hope, although albeit it is on the Mako. Not the worst hero to put it on, but I do want to highlight there's a 1,000 gold advantage now in favor of Samwise over his counterpart Penguin on Nightshade EU. So now we're starting to see that Ion Eternal. Will that item advantage be able to be enough for Hope to kind of spiral out of control as this game progresses?
If you win a fight, Doc, how much ability damage are you doing? And that all converts into gold for yourself. So it just compounds. You get the gold for eliminating your opponent and for doing a ton of damage. So I really like that for the side of Samwise and his team. But no move onto the Fang just yet. It's just because a lot of ultimates, a lot of blinks were leveraged in that previous engagement. I feel like early on, though, it's okay. They kind of need to back anyway. Neft now with the Plasma Blade. You know how strong he can be with that item online. Penguin looking to trade out with some stuns and charges up and gets blasted for it.
And what Penguin and Neft are trying to do here, using the Consecrated Ground, they're trying to just pressure the creeps in, crash them into Samwise, and first of all, to give themselves a window to go back, reset, get a buy off, and prepare for this inevitable Fangtooth fight. But all the meanwhile, there are going to be seedlings, and both likely to go the way of Import here.
Does grab one, but Varant wants the bigger prize, Doc, and that is the dual lane once again. He's hovering, knows the blue is online. We talked about the chess match between these junglers. Anytime you go up against Import, you have to be 5 steps ahead. We'll see if Varant has the vision to do so. Zeru getting the vision from the sky, can't go for the steal, and Import will secure the mini prime, but they're giving over the Fang. I don't know if they can make it in time.
Oh, it's going to be really close if they kept running, but it will not be. Varant able to secure it. All the meanwhile, Make It Rain coming down as ManQ getting out with the skin on his teeth is going to just barely sidestep the long arm of the law. Will survive, will be able to reset, but all the meanwhile, I love this from Varant. Instead of transitioning out of the Fangtooth into a kill onto the dual lane, he comes in and he says, Import, you get nothing. Good day, sir. He takes the 3 camp. He's looking to take this blue buff as well, and most likely will, because Import is going to look to counter and take the 2 camp, which could put Import into a tricky spot now that Rickster sees him.
Does have the Black Hole available should he need it, but that's a quick cleanup from Import. Has the Manta Scythe to do the extra damage to the minions in the jungle. That's a good recognition, right? If like I'm over here, then I could be over here. You get something, so you're not always left out to dry. ManQ, though, however, Doc, we haven't talked too much about this mid lane, but has seemed to be getting the better of his counterpart.
I mean, that's the nature of a howitzer. Not super flashy, just very, very solid and consistent. And consistent is ManQ. He's just, I mean, he's doing everything right. So there's no reason to really talk about him. He's hitting his missiles, he's surviving the ganks, he's being shifty, at least as shifty as a howitzer can be. He has like a very slight mild net worth advantage over Rickster right now, but part of that is because Rickster has opted to scale with the alchemical rod, whereas ManQ went straight into the combustion. So just a slight power spike differential there, nothing too major in the mid lane, nothing shiny or spicy per se. But speaking of spicy, Zayru, he's got some people around him.
And he's the Monkey King after all.
Yeah, he can just walk away.
Yeah, he can just cloud walk into the night sky. Just to harken on Manq just one final bit. He does have the Lotus and is looking to get those stacks as best he can. Right now, 0-0. Bond Druid with the Crix at his back is just getting bigger and bigger in terms of his model size, almost twice that of the Monkey King. He should be a little bit scared. What is scary though, Doc, is the convergence in this left side of the map. Import is showing they know this. Maybe they back off for now. Barat, though, on the hunt for Manq.
Import showing on a ward there. He is able to get the 3 camp after it respawns, but no blue buff, all because of Varant's invade there. Now Varant returning to the duo lane is going to be eager to try to potentially find something, but there's no real reason to. There's no objectives. There's no kind of like door that needs to be opened at this point in the game. So he does opt to just kind of go back, start clearing his jungle. He's looking at his 2 camp. But Import is probably thinking about I don't even know what Import's doing. He's just looking. He's looking for something because there's nothing for him to clear on his side of the jungle anymore.
He's looking for kills, Doc. He's out for blood. He wants to help this duo lane who's been back and forth. It's actually the majority of the gold is to the Dusk side at this point. That's where the bulk of the lead is. So if Import can change the tides, he will try to do that, but it's got to find the right engage. It could be this onto Samwise, the Anima Burst, doing some damage. The Soul Storm now doesn't find what it's looking for. That's just like a gust of wind. Barat here to change the tide of battle, but the reversal fortune knocked dude up and knocks him back down. Neft outside the Coliseum is blastering away. Import forced to use the blink to escape. It's an exchange of blows, but nobody falls.
Import does survive there, but Coliseum is used. However, I would say all things considered there, Hope comes out on top. They burn several major cooldowns for the side of NSEU, and that means that there could potentially be a go button here onto Neft or onto Manq without the threat of this Muriel ever lingering over them. And all things considered, again, after that, Team Hope go and they take a seedling. So, I mean, they get something else, right? They're able to just continue getting net worth across the map despite failing to get kills. They also take the tier 1 tower in the duo lane, so that is going to be another gold injection going Team Hope's way. And this is just very systematic. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Team Hope right now because they are being patient and they are getting the small wins that are adding up.
They're taking the right fights and then waiting for NSEU to play aggressively and then counter-attack onto them, and I love that. But Neft wants to equalize the lane here, recognizing that, first of all, is not around, and with the Fangtooth spawning right about now, they need to get priority in this lane, but the ever-presence of Bond Druid, Doc, this is his time to shine in this next Fang fight.
Bond Druid's looking to proxy some farm as the Adele over between that inhibitor and that tier 2 tower. He's looking to intentionally say, hey guys, look at me, you can't ignore me, look at me, you guys, come over here. But you're doing it against a Monkey King, and Monkey King can also proxy farm elsewhere, thus making the game a 4v4, all things considered across the map. Mako, Gideon, both resetting. These teams are going to be looking to converge. Bond Druid now walking from that proxy farm into the red side jungle could be in danger here. All the meanwhile, Import has started that Fangtooth with his Manta Scythe so that he can sustain and lifesteal.
Doc, what is this pathing for Bond Druid? He just went into the enemy den just to say, yeah, look at me, you can't kill me, and they can't! How many resources have they expended and how much time did Bond Druid just win for his team? That's the first Fang for the Dawn side.
I mean, again, what are you going to do? What is the answer? The only thing that they have at this point in time in the game to deal with Bond Druid is the Vesh on the Gideon. That's it. Reversal of Fortune, though, comes in onto Varant.
Varant, a desperation gladiation, but has to blink out of it. Import feeling so damn strong. That Infernum, which we talked about, Doc, keeping him in the fight and doing the damage. But Penguin, the shield after shield, the healing after healing, but will it be enough? The Severance dodges like a limbo, the long arm of the law. It's pure chaos in this red side jungle.
Oh, Import, you can't back there. They want you, buddy. You got to get out. I know you don't have a bounty on your head or anything, but man, that was just risky, but he is able to get out off the back of Penguin, his Alacrities, his Consecrated Ground, just giving enough sustain, enough effective HP to get him out of dodge. Whew, that was certainly an engagement. Man, Q here, making it rain on the Richter, followed up, countered by the Black Hole, but the Time Warp is going to be popped. It's not going to be enough to get him out of anything, and Richter wins the solo bolo against Man Q, and that is going to be great. That is going to be huge for Team Hope, giving a slight advantage now the way of Richter over Man Q in that mid lane, but that is a huge, 2 big cooldowns that are not up for either team.
Maybe they go for the mini prime off of this stock. I mean, Richter, he's hovering over it. He's like, come on, guys. This is our opportunity. Yeah, they will start it. But on the other side, that is a duel that goes the way of Neff. That's not one you want to throw the gauntlet against. And that looks like they'll take that tier 1 tower down in trade.
And that's the power of the Grim. Grim just outboxes every carry in the game. He does so much damage, is able to just walk you down, and there's not much you can do unless you have some sort of numbers, some sort of peel to assist you. And on top of that, I don't think Penguin was throwing any Alacrities at him, but that just makes the Grim even more dangerous. The Alacrity, the Consecrated Ground, he just becomes an actual raid boss in and of himself. So all things considered, 2-1 across the map on the scoreboard, 1-1 Fang Teeth. Towers, for the most part, looking pretty even. Slight advantage favoring Team Hope right now. Zeru finally getting online as that Monkey King.
Thank you. Maybe in a little tricky situation. Okay, uses the terrain well. Make sure he keeps his HP bar intact. They'll need him for this next fight. Penguin has also arrived, slip-sliding his way into this engagement as well. Bond Druid's towering over the Monkey King. Who will claim the throne? It's the Queen's Garden who will beat the King. Not yet. Now it's a blink expended, and from the heavens, a reversal of fortune will turn the tide. Bye-bye to the Monkey.
Somebody better clip that, because that is the threat of the Muriel. By all accounts, Zeru wins that 1v1, but because the existence of this hero on the map, he is actually not able to finish the kill onto the raid boss. Bondru Neff, though, in danger here, 1v1ing, but Mako's arrived.
Oh, the Mako strike bowls him over. That's dishonor, Samwise. You should know better than that. Leave the guys to the fighting. And that will turn it for the carry. We have a dogfight in the clouds, man, once again. Those two going at it, and it's Samwise who gets a double. This guy cleaning up all the kills, but Import wants a Chitterkin pelt for himself. He's looking to sever his head, and he does. Gets a double and a shutdown to boot.
Oh no, the double kill shutdown onto the Yurei. All the meanwhile, a double kill onto the Samwise Mako. Those are two things you don't want happening if you're Team Hope fans right now. Samwise, when we look at the net worth advantage across the map, there is about a 1,200 gold lead in favor of Team Hope, but the majority of that is on Samwise right now, especially after that double kill. Though Bedlam seems to be breaking out here in the mid lane. Lots of people fighting.
And they're going for the towers, cutting off the waves, just going at it. This is what you love to see when players reach their timings. They feel like it's their time to go. I mean, the Grim has 3 items at this point, Doc. They feel like they can fight. 3 items here for Bomb Druid, multiple quick stacks available for them. They trade in the towers and start to cut the gold lead down. Less than 1,000 now for Hope to hang on to.
Hope still has a slight advantage. Obviously just economical across the map right now. But this third Fang of the game has spawned, and you know how important this is to the side of Nightshade EU. They are on it immediately. Bondrud converging on this location will get here before Richter. There's going to be a fight.
Oh, it's a big fight indeed, but not before the Fangtooth is felled. Now it's about cleaning up the kills. The Queen Garden will drag everybody to their graves. They're running away from those lethal vines, and that's exactly where they want to go. Bondrud once again creating the space. He is just so damn tanky. Every shot in the world seems to deflect off of him, but Grim too slow to actually get into the fight, and this gives Zeru an opportunity to pick apart the carry. It's Grim who will get the kill, but can they stay alive? No, the Black Hole will claim another victim. It is pure chaos on this red side jungle again, but as the dust continues to settle, Team Hope is the one with the beacon in in the sky.
Team Hope giving me goosebumps right now. They're going to take 4 for 2 right there off the back of Rickster. Huge black hole, huge spell casting coming out from the man with Vesh, and he is the one able to answer the question that I had earlier, which was, what do we do about Bond? Him paired with Zeru, paired with that penetration, the physical penetration that Zeru has in the form of the Infernum and the Perforator. They were able to cut down NSEU in that engagement. It was a bit messy from NS. I'm sure they're not too upset since they did come out with the second Fang for themselves, the third Fang of the game, of course. But they kind of botched that team fight. Some strange positioning. Neff definitely feeling himself overstep just a little bit.
Yeah, he went left when everyone went right, and that was the go button for Hope. We talked about how they want to play this dive composition. Well, if Neff's out of position, dive. And that's what they did. 10 out of 10 Olympic performance from Team Hope. They keep their gold lead. They get the Shapers now. That passive lane pressure, as you mentioned. But they need to do something more. Now with the lead, there's some semblance of it. What else can they do? The big prime is on the board. That's the next objective I'm looking at.
With the Seedlings pushing in on the side of Team Hope across 3 lanes, this could be the green light, and it looks to be the call. Team Hope seems to be in that Orb Prime pit, starting that objective. Import has scouted them out, is eyeballing it, is communicating. Will the call to back off the objective be made, or are they going to commit to it? It looks like they want to back off. Nightshade looking for a way in.
They have the ultimates available to Black Hole and the Coliseum. It's Bond into the back line again. The slam into the ground. The Queen's Garden pulling nobody. Wait, is that a reversal of fortune? Knocks nobody up and nobody down. 2 ultimates whiffed for the side of Nightshade. And the retreat is good, but not good enough. First of all, singled out and eliminated, slain. And then into the sky goes the GTFO. No. Immaculate play from Neff. The auto lock does its job, and caught on the retreat is Team Hope.
All off the back of Bondrewd. Bondrewd early on in that engagement, cuts the corner, gets in onto Phoenix first of all, forcing the blink out over that first cliff, and the rest was history. He was forced into a corner with ManQ and Neft just poking him. Varant looking for a way in to potentially consider stealing it. Got some good information. There's a black hole on the outside, and that's going to be Bond falling. Rickster, can he save this?
Okay, Varant has also dived in here. Could be a toss-up, but Import too quick on the trigger, and in a desperation, the Coliseum leverage, but to no avail. Varant not victorious in this. Rickster will be able to get out. Got 1 kill at least, but the big prime goes the way of Nightshade.
That is a big prime going the way of 4 on Nightshade. That is a lot of map pressure that's about to come out in favor of them, and they, just like that, are back in this game with a 2,600 gold lead. There's still the gold lead in favor of Samwise, but other than that, it is across the map all Team Nightshade EU. Despite Rickster and how good he is feeling right now in many of these engagements, some really strong black holes and spell casting, some cosmic rifts and all that good stuff, but at this point, it's just not feeling like enough. We need Phoenix first of all. We need him to be getting into these engagements and not being the first person to get gone on, because him dying means that there's no carry in those engagements to do any damage, because guess what? Rickster's not playing a carry from the mid lane.
Phoenix, first of all, 1 and 3 on the stat sheet. You need your carry to do more, especially with the Murdoch, right? Can pump pretty good. It's got the buckshot, the long arm of the law hasn't found too much so far in this. So they'll look for, first of all, in maybe this next engagement as the Fangtooth is about to spawn once again. This might be the game-sealing fight. You feel like if NS can win that one clean, Doc, they just can run it mid and take this game in 2. They're using their spacing tools right now, trying to poke out Team Hope before they go for the objective.
And Nightshade's Muriel, piloted by Penguin in that duo lane, just utilizing that Orb Prime, applying that pressure to the lane, forcing a response. He is able to reversal onto Neff. Neff links forward to survive, and he is able to finish the kill there, knocking out first of all and Rickster, and on the back end, Import finds Samwise.
Oh, Doc, that was just a bait and switch there. They're like, Neff, we got it, we can do it. And then the huge reversal of fortune, and then the healing from the consecrated ground, keeping Neff in the fight. And they said, screw the Fang, we've won, we've gotten all the kills. and we could just go right for the core Varant. There was no way for him to get into this one. Bondrewd will shepherd him to the grave as the rest of the team will focus on the core. A Soul Storm as just the firework to put the emphasis on the victory. It's a clean sweep for Nightshade.
Oh man, Nightshade, they take an inch and it turns into, I don't know what the equivalent is, so I'm just going to say a mile. I know where this is EU predecessor. Several 2.2 kilometers, is that the conversion? I don't know. But either way,